Daddy. What else? Thanks. Nina.
Come on, music, go away.
Is everything good? Because it's good on my end.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, well, I got it on. I got the intro music going on in my ear.
Oh, okay, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, it was just a glitch on my end.
Okay.
So, welcome to the John Torres podcast, 49er Talks. I have CarCast and 49er Media on.
Yo.
So, what did you guys all think about the Detroit Lions versus the basically the 49ers football game?
Media, you can go first.
Thank you. So yeah, I mean, definitely was interesting because the first half was just not how I thought it was gonna go. I mean, I'm sure we're probably gonna be talking about the Super Bowl because there's some things I wanna definitely cover from that Lions game that I think are key
Oh, yeah.
factors in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I mean, just bad defense. Kind of felt like exactly like the Packers game because I mean, you just let them go down the field and give an end around to Williams, and then he ended up scoring that touchdown. So I mean, it wasn't just the defense. I mean, the offense was struggling too. I mean, it was not a rain game, so you kind of thought that they would bounce back after the Packers game, which was rough for a lot of the game. So definitely was worried at halftime, but I knew I could keep a little bit of faith and like, okay, they're only down 17. We get the ball to start the second half. If we can at least go get a touchdown. I mean, they got a field goal, so at least they were able to go down the field and score something. So it was just great to see the comeback and all Debo getting involved, CMC really getting involved, Kittle,
Juszczyk,
Jennings. I mean, literally everyone was getting involved. So that was awesome.
We were using we were basically using all of our weapons this time around. And because I've been hearing people saying, why use a fullback? Why use a fullback? There's a reason why we use a fullback. So we can have more people on the field to go slam, thank you, ma'am, and basically kick your butt if we need to. Because a fullback blocks, runs, catches. Same with the running back. Tight end does the same thing. George Kittle takedown Aiden Hutchinson. That was funny by my standard. That was a good hit.
But
too.
I mean, now he's hurt too. So I mean, hopefully it's a toe injury, but hopefully it's nothing too bad.
Yeah, but I can see him more than likely playing because
it's the
that's the type of.
There's no way he's not.
Yeah, that's the mentality that he has. And CarCast, what do you think about the Lions game?
About the Lions game?
Yeah.
I got to. You know what? Our defense, we can't stop the run for whatever the reason. We can't stop the outside crack toss. I mean, there's no one to contain on the edges. You've seen Aaron Jones. You've seen both. I mean, really, we can't stop the outside run, and we can't stop the runs up the middle. We couldn't stop Montgomery or Gibbs when it came to the run game. And I believe we're giving up 5+ yards per carry on the ground the last 2 games against the Packers and the Lions. So it's not really looking good. And even Fred Warner, he went to the podium yesterday. And I think he talked about it. Just we're
Yeah,
not
he
giving
did.
100% effort. You saw Chase Young. I'm really disappointed in you. And I know we talked about this a little bit on John LaJoy's podcast a
Yep.
couple of days ago, but on that touchdown that put them up 21-7 against us, Chase Young just stopped mid play for whatever the reason. He looked like he just stretched his arm out to tag Jameer. He showed no effort on that play for whatever the reason, and it was a straight walk-in touchdown for Jameer Gibbs. We had like 5 missed tackles on that one play, so we cannot stop the run. And like our defensive line, man, if we can't get pressure on Mahomes in this game. I know Bosa showed up. He had 2 sacks. He should have had a third one, but it is what he still
Oh,
had
yeah.
himself. He still had himself a day. He had like eight tackles, 4 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks. I mean, the dude came to play. But everyone else, our front office, our organization spent so much money on this front line, on this premium defensive line. We put so much money into it, and we're just not having guys produce in the most crucial moments. I mean, I thought getting Eric Armstead would really help out the run defense. I mean, he's looked like an afterthought from the past couple of weeks, from the last 2 playoff games. Javon Hargrave, where are you, man? You had 11 sacks on the Eagles. We brought you in thinking you were a 4-down pass rusher, and it's like you showed, dude. It's like you disappeared, bro. I don't even see you half the time. And then Chase Young, man. Chase Young's his own problem. Like if I'm telling you, if we can't get pressure on Mahomes, it's gonna be a long day. Because once they get that run game going, Pacheco, and they obviously have Kelsey and Rice. I mean, they can do damage, man, and Mahomes can run himself. So this defense, I mean, I get it. Our offense they've started slow. I get it, but our I don't know, man. Our offense is putting up points, and then our defense is not doing them any favors. They're just letting offenses. We've made, man. I know Jordan Love's stats didn't look real. It didn't jump off the tape when we played the Packers, but dude, they pushed the ball against us. They put us on our butts. They milked the clock. They put pressure on our defense. They ran the ball. Our entire defense was worn out by the end of those games. You could tell our entire defense was worn out, and Kansas City, it's a whole different team, man. It really is. I mean, they might not have the weapons like the Lions in the pack, like really the Lions, but when you have Patrick Mahomes, I mean, he'll make any weapon look good on the field, So it's like it's gonna be tough. We better get these things cleaned up, or else it's gonna be a long, long day. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think with also Chase Young, man, it's just like he's coming from Washington, which was not a playoff team, and then you're coming to the Niners, who have high expectations to win the Super Bowl, and you're showing that you're lazy. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Larry Krueger actually asked Shanahan about that. Obviously, he didn't
I saw
mention the
that.
names because you don't want to throw players under the bus, but it was just like Kyle Shanahan was not happy about it. Obviously, he's also not going to want to throw people under the bus, but it's just like you've invested so much money in this defensive line. You had the same issue last year where we were saying this defensive line is getting tired. It needs help, and it's just like you're in the same situation. And not only that,
Yep.
your defensive depth actually got worse. And I was saying this the entire offseason. Why aren't you going and signing someone other than, giving the keys to Drake Jackson? You need to have a plan B. Instead, they go out and sign Austin Bryant, who then just is on the practice squad getting cut and going back to the practice squad. That's not how you do it. And yes, you got, Robert Beal Jr., but he's a rookie, and Kyle, you're not playing rookies either. I just don't understand why they were like, all right, let's just go after Hargrave, and that's all we need. Like you pretty much knew that you were gonna lose Amenuhu and Ibukan because they were having really good years, and prayers up to Amenuhu because he did tear his ACL unfortunately. But it's just like I don't, that's why you also have to go and go into the trade market to go and trade for a guy like Randy Gregory, and then of course Chase Young, and they both still haven't really helped you that much. I just don't understand like why all of a sudden when we've seen that the whole thing that John Lynch loves is defensive line and pressure. It's like, why'd you go and kind of not really try to even improve that? Because like also yes, I understand Chris Kasurik's a great defensive line coach, but that still doesn't mean every single player is gonna work out. And basically the only signing that you had then was Cleveland Farrell, and unfortunately he's hurt, and he's been a big part, I think, of why this run defense, especially on the outside, has looked so bad.
See, to be fair, I like, and I'll let John go, but I like the guys. Look, Kevin, I believe in that Packers game, we had 5 different rotations on the defensive line. I was like, dude, hold on. Sebastian Joseph Day, he was in there for a couple of snaps, and man, he looked hella confused out there. He didn't know what he was doing. And, he was pointing fingers. He was like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed I like the Sebastian Joseph Day. I actually like Sebastian Joseph Day. I like what he did on the Rams. I like what he did on the
Chargers.
I forget what else.
Chargers.
The Chargers. I like that. I really do like that signing as a depth piece. And, but it's crazy to me because you expect much more out of this defensive line. And it can't be a one-man show with Bosa. I know Bosa's not having his... Well, yeah, but I believe Bosa actually leads the league in pressures. So people that hate on Bosa saying, "Oh, he's not getting sacks," I'm fine with him not getting sacks. But when these other dudes don't want to show up and choose and pick when they want to show up and not show up, you don't do that. And the test we have coming up this week, this is the time you can't be doing that.
Exactly.
The Chiefs actually have a very good offensive line. I believe both their tackles get a lot of false starts and holds, but Jawan Taylor and I believe.
And even that like young guy, their guard, like I think Trey Smith or whatever. I know
Trey Smith and Jawan Taylor, those two.
I don't know if you also saw like Bosa was saying like, what do you notice about their offensive line? He's like, yeah, they hold a lot. So hopefully the refs will see it.
Pay attention.
It's gonna be
tough. But
tough.
Apparently it's the same refs as the last Super Bowl we played in. So
yeah, Bill Vinovich.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, Bill Vinovich. It's gonna. Yeah. Yep, it's gonna be tough, man. We're gonna have a test ahead of us, and if we let Pacheco go off, and then we got a double cover Kelsey. I mean, that's a no.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's a no-brainer. But
it's just crazy to think that the defensive side of the ball is the one thing now we have to all of a sudden be talking about. I feel like because it's supposed to be our strong suit. We were always like, when can the offense finally do their thing? And they're finally doing their thing, and then now the defense is not doing their thing.
Yeah, right on. Exactly. What's up, Melissa?
So let's welcome in Basie Melissa. Welcome to the podcast.
Yo.
So what do you think about the 49er and Chiefs game, Melissa?
I think it's gonna be interesting. At least L'Jarius Sneed, I think it is, made a big name for himself. And I like to see what happens between him and Ayuk and Jennings and Samuel and Kittle, and see them really test themselves against him. And I think it's gonna be a very different game. Everyone keeps talking about how the Chiefs have kept everybody to 13 points throughout the playoffs, roundabout. And now that the Niners' strength is their offense, it's going to be a really interesting thing to see how much they can score on them and how much they can control the clock and kind of keep the Chiefs off what makes them, I don't know, comfortable this year, to put it in those kind of terms. So I'm really looking forward to this matchup.
So right now,
Vinovich is calling, so.
Yeah,
don't
so
like
we got. Sorry.
Go on.
Go ahead, Melissa.
I just said I don't like that Bill Vinovich is the referee again.
So let's say hi to Brian Cope and David McNiner is in the chat watching
What's up,
or
Brian
listening.
and David?
What up, guys?
So I was just looking up some stuff. So both Shanahan's do have both of the McCaffreys. One won a Super Bowl and the other one is looking to win a Super Bowl. So what do you guys think the odds are that Kyle and CMC can win a Super Bowl? Let's go with basically Melissa, then 49er Minded, then Carcass.
I think about 65, 70%.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that as well.
Carcass?
I'd probably go with 70, 75. You know, I think we have a really good chance, man. That's just me, though. I think we do.
I'm about in the 70%, thinking that way myself too. Right now is a good time to at least make the Shanahan name look good too. I have watched a lot of Mike Shanahan play with Ed McCaffrey. I haven't seen the other kids play, but Logan McCaffrey is coming in the draft this year.
He's a receiver, right?
Yep, he's a receiver and a quarterback.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so, and then we got Frank Gore Jr. coming out this year's draft, and we got Brian Rice, aka Jerry Rice's son, too, is coming out. And and there's a defensive tackle from Michigan. His nickname is the Monster, Christian Jones. His dad and uncle both played in the NFL too. So I'm looking at him. We might draft him, we might not, but he's definitely going out in the first round. He could drop back to the second, but he's one of the top defensive tackles out there.
You said Christian Jones?
Yeah, Christian Jones.
Michigan? All right, I'll look into it.
Yep, same.
And he's good. He can lift a lot of weight, and I can see him probably taking over somebody else's job. And the other thing I looked at, and I want to get you guys' opinion on this one, Chase Young's backup for this coming up Super Bowl is Robert Bill Jr., somebody that played from Georgia. He was our 5th round draft pick, and I have seen some of his highlights, and it might be definitely a competition between Chase Young and Robert Bill Jr. They're both the same age, close to the same heights. Chase Young is 6'5", 264, versus Robert Bill that's 6'4", 250. So what do you guys think about that?
If I'm correct, Robert Beal Jr. hasn't really done much for the Niners, and out of all the games to play him, I don't see Kyle really giving him snaps in a Super Bowl, especially one that means this much to this franchise. And it's not just that they want 6, it's that they want revenge, and I feel like this is like the last game for a lot of different Niners. So I think Eric Armstead is on his last, like literally last leg. I feel like he's gotten to that point where he's like Patrick Willis, like at the end of their careers, they just couldn't keep their feet healthy. They would just, it got to the point where it's just like, it's tedious to stay healthy, just like Joe Staley. And so with the revenge element, with the have to prove yourself element, with how hard it's been for them to get back to the Super Bowl, I don't see Chase Young being replaced for someone younger unless there's an injury. But in future,
Or a
I'd rather
break
have
too.
Robert Beal Jr. than Chase Young because for all his athletic freakicism, Chase Young just it was even back when I saw him in the Commanders. Like he just did not have that fire in his belly the way that
Uh-huh.
I would prefer someone getting paid that much money to be paid, and I'd rather have a Jawan Jennings or a Brandon Ayuk or someone like I can kind of like trust
Trust.
more. And not Niners go defense in the draft over offense. It'd be easier to go and get something younger and hungrier than to get rid of the offensive weapons and hope the guy on defense pays off that didn't even get picked by your organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think that honestly, I mean, I feel like you have to play him. I don't care if he's a rookie or not, because, like I said, you've already lost some guys like Cleveland Farrell, and you need to have fresh legs.
Mhm.
So I think he should play a little bit. Maybe he can give a little bit of spark, because I do love his speed. He did have a sack, I think, week 18 versus the Rams as well. So. I mean, I definitely want to see Robert Beal Jr. out there, but the question is, will Kyle Shanahan actually let him play because he's a rookie? And the answer is probably no, unfortunately. So I don't know. Like again, I
I think
hope that
there's
we
a
see him, but realistically, I don't see him. I'd be a little shocked if he did get some playing time.
I think there's a stronger possibility that you see Sammy Womack out there instead of Ambry Thomas for a few drives.
Oh, I've been saying I want Ambry. I mean, not Ambry. I want Sam Womack out there. After that, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah, you can click
Dude,
that.
I
You know,
just hate how Steve Wilkes has to play so like conservative, and we just leave the underneath open like that.
after I saw that preseason game last year against the Packers, Sam Womack, dude, I'm like, yeah, this kid is special.
I'm not getting into a Steve Wilkes debate. I'll just get really angry and nasty.
There.
Hey, that's okay.
I'm pro Steve Wilkes. I'm probably one of the very few people who've been pro Steve Wilkes since he was signed here. So
All right. So, Carcass, what about you? What do you think about Chase Young and Robert Bill as a 1 and 2?
Like media said, you know, you got to go with your best option. I just don't know that Kyle Shanahan will have his ego, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's gonna hold
Yep.
him back. So, and he has a thing against rookies. So, you know, you got to go with whoever's left. And if Chase Young's not playing up to par,
You
it's
got to go
you
with
want the veteran guy.
next man up.
Chase Young's been through a lot, injuries, whatever the case is. But like, I mean, the thing. So, how tall is this guy again? He's a faster guy, right? You said
Yeah, faster. He's 6'4".
6'4". So can he play? Is he like a linebacker / defensive end? Is he like a hybrid?
Yep.
So he's like a
Yep.
Michael Parsons, almost.
Yep.
Like T.J. Watt, those guys. Okay,
Mhm.
so I want to see what the guy has. Like,
Oops.
bye, podcast.
So, for me, my opinion, it's like, say, Chase Young can't kick it. Let the younger guy take over. Definitely fresh legs. Could bring a little bit more speed on the field, but it decides on their mindsets too. We got to think of how they're thinking, how Steve Wilkes thinks. Sometimes he's off. There's pros and cons about Steve Wilkes, and I can say that one. I have watched him play, and it's like, okay, whatever type of look. Yep. We got Bebop in the chat too. What up, Bebop?
Bebop.
Hey, Bebop. Okay, so this whole like anti-Steve Wilkes thing, like, and the non-aggression thing, like, do we forget that Robert Saleh was the most soft zone caller ever? Like, you remember all those games, especially against the freaking Packers, that drove me crazy. He just like walked
Yeah.
it down the field 5 yards here, 7 yards here, 8 yards here, 9 yards there. Like, and the reason why we went so anti D'Amico was because that was such a huge issue under D'Amico Ryans. Like, I love D'Amico
Yeah.
Ryans and I miss him, but we had nothing in the secondary under D'Amico Ryans. Like, he was even worse than Solid at times when it came to the DBs. And the thing with D'Amico, he was so aggressive that you remember, like, we would see the schedule, and anytime there was like even like an ounce of escapability or scramblability about a quarterback, we'd all circle it and be like, okay, here we go again, another mobile quarterback. How are they going to handle this one? You remember that was when we would have the freaking flying munchkin or flying chipmunk or whatever name they would
Yep.
come up with. Like, and yeah, they had the sacks, but then you would have these big gaping holes because everybody was just like crashing down. So you'd have Hufunga and everybody else blitzing with the D line, and you'd have nobody in the secondary. And then all that left, like Diamador Lenore, and I think Tashawn Gibson and Dre Greenlaw, and hell, Fred Warner was blitzing too. So you'd literally like 4 people to cover like most of the field. And I'm not saying like one style is better than the other, but like a lot of the issues with the Steve Wilkes system is about actually performing it. So it's not like it's great or bad, but they admitted it in the presser when they were trying to ask about Chase Young without mentioning his name, and so about the Gibbs big play, and he's like, yeah, there's a lot of issues. A lot of guys weren't tackling, or they assumed somebody else was going to be there, and they were going to tackle. And then he was pointing out, like, it's not all on the D line. Some of the DBs kind of like messed up too, and that's the problem. I felt like the one thing under Saleh really mattered was
internet issues.
They were cohesive.
We'll begin. Melissa is back in.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so the one thing under Solid and the one thing under D'Amico was like they were brought in with the guys, so they were like, Bosa, Fred, and they all believed in them, put them in the positions that they are in. So it was very cohesive from the start. And with Steve Wilkes, he butted heads with them. They called him out in press conferences. Even when Nick Bosa came to the press conference when they beat Philly, right? The first words almost out of his mouth were like calling out Steve Wilkes in the system, and they hated not blitzing, and they were like, we didn't really believe in this, but we did it anyway because coach told us to, and then it worked out. And then he was saying that was kind of the blueprint, and if the Cowboys were smart, they would do the same. But at the same time, this team is built on aggression. That's what they were coached up as rookies. That's what they became as veterans. And Steve Wilkes is not aggressive. So that's what my main concern was for so long with him, was that Shanahan is an alpha. Shanahan is aggressive to a point, and then he kind of like waits and holds out. He doesn't put up those like 30s and 40s in scoring very often, but he's very aggressive and very manipulative and works the clock in the game. And Steve Wilkes is that really calculated, I'm going to kill you with 1,000 cuts kind of thing. And that's my main concern, because this game, this quarterback, you cannot have that friction. You got to either just hate it and like Philly and just whine about it afterwards, or I don't know.
Yeah, I personally haven't really liked the way the defense is played. Like, I definitely like, I guess, the secondary more, because I feel like we're not giving up as much of those like crazy plays aside from the Packers game. I don't know, from whatever reason, I think just the rain really was affecting us. But like, I don't know, it's just exactly.
Yeah, they were.
It wasn't like, oh, they were just bad in coverage or anything. It was just literally them falling. So I can't blame that really. But it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the way this defensive line is being played, because he's changing it up a little bit. And I think that's also why, like a guy like Bose had said earlier in the year, like they're not really liking this defense. But I mean, it is what it is now. But I don't know. I'm hoping. It's just like concerning about the defensive line because it's like all of a sudden, the last
it's-
2 weeks, the defensive line hasn't looked
See,
good in terms of pressure. But then it's like you kind of expect them to do that this week too. It's like I feel like, you want to be you want to be having a good, kind of last few weeks. Then that's what's so important in the playoffs. And it's just the defense has just been so disappointing.
okay, but at the same time, it's not just the DC and it's not just the execution.
I mean,
It's
yes,
also
to some
it's
extent.
also the
Yes.
personnel. Think about it. You don't have a Kerry Hyder. You don't have a Jordan Willis. You don't have these backup guys that could kind of rotate so they kept fresh and also had fire in their bellies. And now with Drake Jackson hurt and Cleveland
Mhm.
Farrell out, like the guys that were kind of somewhat bringing a spark are out. It's harder. And Armstead's missed a lot of the year. And Javon Kinlaw is eating up 2 or 3 guys, and he's having his best year ever. But at the end of the day, there's nobody capitalizing on it. So it's not like the D-line's not doing anything. It's just they're not doing what we're used to. And that's what's upsetting a lot of fans.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's for me, it's like watching offensive lines and defensive lines because I used to play high school football. I was a lineman. I was defensive line too. I played a little bit of linebacker. And just watching them, some of these guys do not go to the whistle. Some of them do quit. And that's the part that irritates me because the way I was coached, you ran the whole time.
Mhm.
Basically, like Colin Farrell. Seawolks has talked highly about him. And all I see him doing is running back and forth, even during practice. So, my honest opinion, I think Colin Farrell should get at least a 1 more year contract. And honestly, I think the Raiders did treat him a little bit dirty too because they played him out of position.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he has done very good underneath our system. So next year could be a lot more different. He's definitely going to be more healthier. At least his knee is been fixed, like Cal Brock Purdy's arm. We could talk highly about him, and there's people out there that talks trash about him, and it pisses me off. I got in a fight with a couple of Chiefs fans and told them that their quarterback is a Karen because I have no respect for Patrick Mahomes. People think that he's a high quarterback and that type of stuff. I have seen some flaws this year.
Did you see him in that AFC Championship game where he got so mad at the refs? Like, how dare you not throw like 50 flags for me? And the Ravens defense went to like the refs, to the organization, to even the announcers saying like flat out, this guy has gotten away with this for how many years on the AFC side. Like he'll run down the sidelines, look like he's going out. The guy lets up because they don't want to get that big 15-yard penalty, and then he runs for like 10 more yards, and he's just like gloating in their faces. And like, I don't think the Niners will get the same kind of consideration, especially with who the ref is. But I also think that's one of the things that I like most about the no sack numbers is that
Yep.
when we were sack kings, so when you had like Nick Bosa with the team plus sacks and you had other people have these high sack numbers, you'd also see a lot more flags, right? And so you have those critical downs where you have those 3 and outs, and then it was just keep staying alive and staying alive and staying alive, and then you didn't have the offense to kind of like give them time off, and also they would get exhausted because they were on the field for so long. And I think that's one of those sneaky little things that might help us in the Super Bowl. If you're not being overly aggressive, you give them less reason to throw flags on you. So those 5 killers would kind of be negated a bit.
What about you, basically 49er reminder? What do you think about the way that Patrick Mahomes demands the refs to throw a ton of flags? because he's definitely going up to the refs, shaking hands, basically kissy face and that type of stuff. That's a little bit irritating by my standard.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that also like Steve Wilkes with us is just I think the energy is just not there too. Like with
Yeah.
him, 'cause you had Salah and D'Amico just bringing that energy, showing that energy when guys make a
The hype.
play. Yeah, and it's just like I feel like with Steve Wilkes, it's just like he doesn't bring that, and it kind of just like makes it I think a little bit tough for players to want to play for him because like he,
But
he
see,
doesn't
you
show
have
any
Johnny
emotion.
Collins, you have a Chris Kasarik who are hype guys like that. You have guys like Drake Greenlaw and
But
George
they're not the
Kittle.
ones
Have
calling the plays. I feel like it's a
I
little
get that.
different than just like
It's not
having
like
the defensive
we're
line
dead
coach
on
do
the
that.
sideline. And guess what? Shanahan gets hot headed, but Shanahan also keeps his head cool. It isn't like always pump up fist energy. Like I honestly don't believe, and I don't understand why this defense cannot buy into this guy because he's good. I mean, he's been done so wrong by this NFL, like with the Panthers and with the Cardinals, and he has so much talent. And if they would just give him a genuine chance, they could be so well. But they've become lazy and they've become very reckless with their tackling and the angles and getting out of the gaps, which they know that the Wilkes defense is based on. And they're so stat hungry for some reason that they're more concerned about turnovers than they're doing their job. And you see it because you see when Drake Greenlaw had the touchdown to end the Packer game, Fred Warner was right there. You saw it
Yep.
when Fred Warner had that big touchdown a couple games ago. And Jair Brown like literally had to like dove and freak out, turn his body away from him so that way Warner didn't collide into him and one other defense. These guys are so desperate for aggression. It's just it's ruining the team, and I don't
Yep.
get it. So in that regard, maybe you know what, if Steve wants to leave after this year or the next year, try to find someone that makes them happy. But at the end of the day, like you're playing for a Super Bowl, there should be no animosity. Like just do your job and then fight in the off season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I definitely agree with that because the thing is, you have one more game. You've made it this far, right? You want to win that Super Bowl. It's clearly everybody's on that same page. And so I definitely agree. Like if there's some concern about Steve Wilkes, hey, talk to John Lynch, talk to Kyle Shanahan after the season's over.
Yep.
And because they're obviously gonna reflect on the season. We all know John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan every year. They're like, we look at everything. Now I'm sure they also look at what these players think about some of these coaches. So I do agree with that. Like just play this game. This is one game. After that, you get to rest, and then again you can go talk to John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan about Steve Wilkes if you really want to.
And Yorks too, the owner.
Yeah.
Because
What
he
you
tries
guys
to
think about his comments?
Yorks.
I
Yeah.
love it. I
It was a good
genuinely
one.
love it. I genuinely loved it because everyone keeps saying like Brock Purdy shouldn't have been kept over Nate Sudfeld because remember they kept mentioning the $2 million that was guaranteed, and it's just like you finally heard it straight from Judd York's mouth. Like he loved Brock Purdy from the get go. Fred Warner
Yep.
did. Trent Williams have mentioned it for years, especially Fred. But I love that they mentioned that and they were like, but Kyle didn't put his foot down for once and he didn't like force it to happen. He just like organically let it happen. But it does prove what we all said, that when they said there was going to be an actual competition, it was a lie. And that was always the plan. So Trey was kind of done dirty, but at the end of the day, I also thought it was hilarious that Kyle Shanahan talks about his father's legacy and how much he wants to improve his father's legacy and how much he idolized his father's people and how he wore a Ed McCaffrey jersey or something like weird
Yep.
when he was younger. And then he was the one that was complaining about giving up all the draft picks for Christian McCaffrey. And then they were like, no, dude, we're doing this. Like, do you really want him to go to the Rams? And that was probably one of the most enjoyable experiences with listening to Jed York.
Yeah, I also think just the story about like Brock Purdy and stuff, because there's just been other
The
people
Bears
kind of
part, that
saying
was the
this.
best part.
Like there's also been reports out there that like, oh, Kyle Shanahan, like they wanted to draft a linebacker. Everyone else, the majority of people in the war room, wanted some linebacker or something. But Kyle Shanahan's like, no, we need to go after this kid. And even Jed York kind of mentioned it, and they're like, why are we trying to go after another, quarterback? You just traded up for, traded 3 draft picks up for Trey Lance. You just paid, you're saying $20 million to like Jimmy G, and it's like, well, you want to go after, another quarterback, and usually owners aren't, going to be happy about that, especially because you gave up, that draft compensation. But it looks like Kyle Shanahan knew from the beginning that he wanted this guy. And when Kyle Shanahan, I think that also kind of why the Niners go defensively early on in the round, because Kyle Shanahan knows that he's able to develop like these guys later on, offensively. So I think that's definitely, it was a very interesting story. I mean, I hope that there's a documentary series about Brock Purdy at the end of this, man, because it's such a great story. Like, who wouldn't want to, hear this story? It's just so outstanding to
Hey, Carcast.
hear about that. What's up?
Hi, I'm back. Sorry. my Wi-Fi.
Welcome back, Carcass.
So, what were we talking about? Sorry, my Wi-Fi just died on me.
Bad Eagle Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Have a
It's
good one.
just
Bebop.
about basically San Francisco 49ers defense and the coach.
Oh, Steve Wilkes.
Yep.
So,
My thoughts.
yeah.
I mean, Steve Wilkes.
What?
I've said it before. I don't hate the guy, but he's had his ups and downs on the season for sure. Hold on, I'm trying to get my charger away. My bad, I had to unplug something, but yeah, I think with Steve Wilkes,
What
he
up,
had his ups
David?
and downs, but
What's up, man? How you doing?
I think once
Doing
we
good.
brought him in, I really liked him. I mean,
What's up, man? How you doing?
he had a nice stretch with Carolina last year, but once he came into the Niners, I think, he is a secondary guru, and we've seen the difference. We've seen the difference with the secondary. Charvarius Ward, he's worth his money. He's just doing amazing this season, man. Our secondary guys are definitely stepping up, and it's not too much of a surprise. I mean, he works from the back to the front line, and he is a secondary specialist. He is, so it kind of does make sense. I mean, look, with Saleh and D'Amico, Saleh was really aggressive. He was, you gotta get pressure on, you gotta get pressure up front, and then with that pressure, it leads to picks, PBUs when it came to the secondary. So Saleh was more of the front five with, when you had Bosa, Buckner, Armstead, Ford, those guys. So he always liked that. He always liked that front line. But the thing with I don't, you obviously had the 3-game slump. Our defense looked horrible, but I think he stepped up. I mean, look, right after that game, Jacksonville, we blew them out. Our defense, dude, we crushed them. Like, what?
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I
but
think that was somebody's background.
What happened?
I think that was David, because he's I think he just got done with his haircut.
David Corona?
Yeah.
What's up, Carcast?
Oh, what's up, David? Yeah, but I thought someone said something, but
Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
This is my wife right here. Me, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa. How you doing?
Hi.
You must be at a grocery store.
Yeah, I'm at the dollar store.
Uh-huh.
I just got my haircut right now. Yeah, the
Fresh
photo
cut
right
for
here.
the Super Bowl.
Yep.
There.
Yeah, but I'm fine with Steve Wilkes, but he's really got to get it together with the run defense, man. We really gotta get that side fixed. I mean, when it comes to the pass, I mean, dude, I want to see Warmack out there, man. Give this kid a chance. I mean, Ambry Thomas, we all know what happened against the Packers. I mean, Ward, what? Like, Ward had a great game against the Lions. Lenore's playing out of his mind. I think Lenore and Greenlaw are the two most physical players on the defense right now. I mean, those guys have been showing out in the playoffs. I mean, Lenore showed out in the playoffs last year too. He had a pick against Dallas. He had a pick
And
against
Nope.
and
Yeah.
Seattle, right? And Seattle. I mean, dude, look, but I really didn't like. There were some calls that Steve Wilkes made against the Lions that, dude, I was about to. I had some choice words, you
Go
know.
crazy.
Like there was this one play on 3rd and 18. I think it was a field goal drive that put them up 24-7. I don't care how good Fred Warner is in pass coverage. You don't put Fred Warner on Amon-Ra St. Brown running a drag route straight across his face on a 3rd and 19. That's not a good matchup. You don't do that. He was wide open, and then free conversion. I mean, Goff put it right on Amon-Ra's first down, and they drove down the field, kicked the field goal. I mean, there's just some matchups that really got me pissed off. Like,
And they also had, what was it, like 3rd and 18, and then they think it's a passing play, and then
you're
they
putting
just
Fred
get
Warner
ran
on-
over on it, and then they ended up converting for the first day.
I don't know what you're doing.
You're putting Fred Warner on St. Brown, who runs a 4.4. Like, this dude's quick. I don't care how good Warner's in pass. That's not a good matchup at all. You don't do that one-on-one across the middle of the field. Hell no. Sorry.
Okay. So to push back on that, you did realize that Steve Wilkes brought over no defensive coaches of his own. He did not even bring over his main system. He adapted to the Niners system. And during that 3-game stretch that everyone loves to go to, wasn't Trey Greenlaw and a lot of people banged up on the defensive line that usually hold down the run D? And secondly, the big issue is not the system or the play calling. It's really the execution and discipline that is shown by the defense. And we don't have Nizel Shire. We don't have all the extra aggression in the middle right now. And the thing of it is, during that 3-game stretch, you remember, I don't know if he was still in the box at that time or he was just coming out of the box.
I'm lucky.
But you do remember that they were doing a lot of weird calling. So they were doing like 5-man fronts, 7-man.
And the blitzing versus the Vikings.
And he was just learning these players, and these players were calling for it, saying that they could do this, that they were aggressive, that they could get home. And they were not getting home, and they were calling for these different things of having these 5, 6, 7 guys that were all first rounders on that line. And that's when all the things kind of got weird. And we're not seeing those drastic issues now because Steve Wilkes has kind of put his foot down a bit. And so to blame everything on Wilkes is just really lazy and really wrong, that we're not holding the players accountable for their shit, because he's not the one out there tackling and leaving lanes open and messing up.
Tackling is not on Steve Wilkes. I'll tell you that.
The one thing I just don't like
That's
about
just a
Steve
simple
Wilkes is the
fundamental
way
issue
that
with
he
it.
just
Yeah.
he does that prevent defense. That's the one thing that pisses me off so much
Salah did
about
the
Steve
same
Wilkes.
thing though.
I mean,
Salah
maybe.
was-
Salah disguised really well. I mean,
Yeah, no,
K1, K1.
I
Hey,
think Salah was
how you say your name? Your name is Atso?
Ancho.
Atso?
Ancho with an N, yeah.
Atso?
Yeah,
Yep.
you're good.
What were you saying? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. But
No, but I saw-
dude, it
saw-
just pisses me off, that prevent type of defense like that. He's running like, why?
there were a couple of plays, that they were behind the sticks, and we just let guys in front of us, and they fought for extra yards up the field. I mean, I get it. I mean, Salah disguised really well, especially with Kayvon blitzing off the slot. Salah, and that's the thing. I'm concerned. I mean, Steve Spagnuolo, he's the same thing, man. You saw it against Lamar. They shut down Lamar. Lamar doesn't go. That offense doesn't run. So, and it took them until the fourth quarter to actually get it going with that one deep shot to save Flowers, and then he had his own set of issues. But they really shut down the run game. They really did, and that's how you beat the Ravens. And it's Steve Spagnuolo. He's aggressive. He disguises. He blitzes. I mean, he brings pressure on third downs. And I get it. Brock Purdy's the best under pressure this year, but it's definitely going to be tough. I mean, hey, that pick against the Lions, our offensive line got pushed the hell back right into his lap, and it's you can't have that against the Chiefs, man. You got to keep Mahomes on the bench as long as possible, because with one drive, look what he did in the AFC Championship game against the Bills. He had 13 seconds, drove them on the field, he won them the game.
If you're not bringing pressure against Mahomes, he's gonna tear you apart, even though maybe his weapons aren't doing as well this year. Because like the rookie Rashee Rice is really becoming, getting him to himself. Obviously, you have Travis Kelce, who's still,
I don't think we can cover. I don't think we can cover the speed down the field. I really don't. I'm telling you right now. I think Scantling's gonna get one on us. I don't think we can cover that speed. I really don't.
Right. So what are you guys talking about, John?
They also use Pacheco in the receiving game, so watch out for that.
Yep.
So right now we're talking about Steve Wilks and our defense. What do you think about it?
Man, I wish we had D'Amico or Salah or Dan McDaniels, because they did pretty good for us. And man, I don't know, man. He has to keep calling those blitz, and get those sacks in the playoffs. I think we got like 2 sacks in the playoffs, Nick Bosa, and that's it.
Yeah, you're right. We didn't have one against Green Bay.
So if he doesn't step up, I think he's gonna get fired, man. Or keep him for one more year and see if he could get the playbook down and give him one more shot. So, yeah, man, that's what I think.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't have any sacks.
Because if we don't sack Patrick Mahomes, he's gonna tear us up. He's gonna tear us up.
And the thing is, Patrick Mahomes is good at extending plays too, even if there is pressure. So that tackling, because we've also had tackling issues, like we're gonna have to tackle.
Yeah, exactly. Hell yeah, you're right.
I think you're right. We only have 2 sacks in the playoffs. We didn't have any against Green Bay.
It's the same thing that happened last year. It's the same thing that happened last year too. Our defensive line just all of a sudden very tight, which I do agree it to some extent. It is like, we don't have as much of the rotation anymore because of all these injuries. But hey, I don't know, Kalia Davis should be back. So maybe that can help a little bit, with the interior rotation at least. So maybe Hargrave will, be able to be more effective.
And then I think Hargrave has a chip on the shoulder too. I think because he was on the Eagles last year and he lost against Chiefs, exactly. So he wants the revenge game.
Yep.
So
they didn't have any sacks on Mahomes, and see what he did. He came back from that injury at halftime and he tore them the F up. He tore them the F up really the entire game, but
yeah. Can I bring up a fun question about the defense?
What's up?
Go ahead.
So everyone knows that he's on a 6-game streak right now. No fumbles, no sacks, no interceptions, no pick sixes. So last Super Bowl, Fred Warner had his famous interception. So do you think it's Fred Warner? Do you think it's Mooney Ward picking off his former quarterback? Or do you think it's some other defender that gets the streak broken?
Hey, even I believe Tarvarius Moore at that
Tarvarius Moore had
time,
one.
I
Yep.
think, also had an interception
I'm
against.
going with Green. I'm going with Greenlaw.
Well, I'm just going with players that are currently
Yeah,
Niners.
currently.
I wasn't
Uh,
dissing
yeah.
any.
I do think,
Oh,
yeah, that I think that Fred Warner gets. Honestly, no, I think Charvarius Ward, yeah, gets a pick. You know, his former team. I think, last time we played them, also in the regular season, like we were getting beat up during that game, and I'm sure Charvarius Ward wanted some payback during that game and wasn't able to really get it. So I think, yeah, Charvarius Ward could be getting an interception in this game.
I say Greenlaw for me.
I think Andy Reid knows Charvarius Ward well enough. I think he's gonna keep him in check. I I think yeah. I think it's gonna be a Chase Young strip sack. Fred Warner scoop and score for 6.
Man, I hope Chase Young actually shows up and isn't just lazy and trying to give high fives to like
Oh yeah, hell
the
yeah.
up offense, because that's basically what he looked like he was doing on that toss with Gibbs.
Yep.
It looked like he was just trying to give a high five to the guy.
He needs to set the. He needs to. If he wants a big contract, that guy needs to step up big time.
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna be back
it
with
up.
us. I'm just gonna make that
Unless we bring him
prediction
back
right
on
now.
a cheap contract.
Yeah.
1 year. We'll see. I miss Cleveland Farrell. Hey, how do you think our offensive line stacks up against the Chief Steve line and Steve Spagnuolo's defense?
Mm,
And their linebackers? I know their linebackers are pretty damn good as well. Nick Bolton.
honestly, for their defensive line, I'm not as concerned. Only guy I guess is Chris Jones. I don't even know who they have.
Their
at those
defensive end, George Karloftis, has been
Oh
stepping good.
yes, okay, yeah.
But Chris Jones, hey, he can play defensive tackle and on the edge.
Yeah.
You know?
Now I think
Pretty
Colton McKivitz can actually do a pretty solid job against Karloftis. I'm actually not too worried about that.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Chris Jones, I remember last time too. Like when we
Yeah.
started losing, dude, he was just taking over.
Exactly. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, the only people that I could see could do some damage is Trent McDuffie.
The corner, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's good.
Yep.
Yeah, I like him.
Sneed.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Chain. I think that's how you say his last name.
What position
Number
is he?
50. Linebacker.
Okay.
Their linebacker, Nick Bolton, he's that guy. He is
There's
that
that
guy.
also that safety they have from the Chargers, who's actually been pretty good in the playoffs.
Safety
Yeah.
from the Chargers.
Mike Eds or Justin Reed?
No, I
Justin
don't.
Reed, that's the guy. I really
No,
like him.
not yeah, but he's good, but not. That's not the guy. Let me see. I'll look at their roster.
Yeah, I don't know who they got on the Chargers, but yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
because,
Tranquil.
Oh, Drew Tranquil? Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's the guy. All right, cool.
He's looked pretty solid in the playoffs.
Right on. He's the best. Yup.
So, do you think we're gonna see those 6 TV sets that they put against the Ravens and to test all our offensive weapons and see if we could keep the run game alive like they did to Lamar Jackson? Because it felt like they did that at least
What's up, Brian?
79% of the time in the AFC Championship game. They had like 6+ DBs out there.
Mhm. So you're asking if you think we're gonna go out there and put 6 DBs,
No, I said, do you think
or
that
like we're
Spags
gonna be
will
doing like
run
the
our offense?
okay. Mm. I don't know. I think he might try to blitz Purdy. I know we said that we think he's been doing better. I mean, there's been a little bit of times where he hasn't looked as good, but I think definitely blitzing. They're probably gonna want to try to keep George Kittle pretty quiet, or actually Brandon Ayuk. I think they're gonna want to make sure that he doesn't get those out routes a lot, because those are kind of something that Brandon Ayuk's been really good at. Now, I think a guy that's going to be a really big X factor and was the reason why I think we lost the Super Bowl last time was Deebo Samuel, man. We got to keep on using him, keep on feeding him in CMC, because I think that's how we'll get successful, right? I think that's how you beat some of those defensive plays that Spagnuolo, creates. We've seen it where Debo's, used with those screen plays and then just is able to get a bunch of yaks. I think that's how we'll have a chance to tear up that defense.
Yeah, see, what I think that the Niners should do is we use all of our weapons, use check, since we did see use check being used this game, because it's best to give like a different type of look instead of going to the same players over and over again. We need to use all of our running backs, most of our wide receivers, and our fullback to do damage, because that's the only way to get around certain teams.
Yep.
Because if we can use all of our weapons, even George Kittle and both of our backup tight ends, we can probably show something to take down the Chiefs, because the Chiefs are beatable. They only have one less win than we do. They have 11-6 wins, and we have a little bit better ranking than they do, but it depends on who we're playing against, who's distracted, who's not, and it's like, what if? And Brian did bring up a good one. How many points will the 49ers special teams score? So if we can come up with every single touchdown, we're probably going to be making enough points for Jake Moody to make those field goals. Long field goals, he can be off once in a while, but what rookie kicker is not off?
Hey, John, you guys have a good day. I got to go.
All right, catch you later, buddy.
All right, see you later, man. See you later,
David.
podcast. Later, Axel. Later. Bye.
Wait.
So, what do you guys think for Brian's comment? What do you guys think about it?
Special teams, I'm going to say...
4 points, 4 touchdowns.
I'm going to say... I'm going to say 6.
Okay. Carcass?
Damn. Wait, hold up. I'm gonna say 9.
Oh, dang. How many field goals?
I think we have a blocked punt. Turn for a touchdown.
Don't say that, man.
I don't,
No. On our side.
Oh,
I
okay.
I don't
Yeah.
see them just being happy with field goals. I think it's going to be make or break. I think they go for touchdowns.
Yep.
Maybe they go for it more on 4th down. And I'm not saying there's not going to be maybe an opportunity for a field goal. I feel like there's
I
so
don't know,
much
man. Their
scar tissue and there's
sound
so
like their
much.
defense is shit. It's not like their defense is shit that they can't hold up. So
And there's so much pressure. Like, I don't think they're gonna settle the way they used to settle.
Yeah.
I think they. But, we'll see.
Brian, that's not a shot at Jake Moody before you freak out. I don't really think they're going touchdowns over field goals. PAT count, I have 4. 4 touchdowns, 4 made PATs.
All right. Let's welcome into the chat Levi. Thank you for popping in, bud. If you want to pop in, just let me know and I'll send you the invite if you have a free moment, if you like to come on into the show.
No, please don't put Debo at punt returner. Please, for the love of God.
Please don't put Raw Ronnie Bell at punt returner either.
Yeah, I think Kyle realized that after the Arizona game.
Yeah, no, I think so.
So, since we do got Levi in the chat, do you think that there was a lot of bad flags during the Ravens game?
Honestly, I can't really say because I'm gonna be 100% with you. I actually wasn't really able to watch much of the game because I was on like a
Oh, I did.
family vacation too. So I only really got to watch the second half when it was already a blowout. So
Oh,
think there
trust
was a-
me, it was a little bit nasty by
I
my
think there was
standards.
a lot of no calls in that game. I think the NFL cracked down because it was such a huge story going into the game
Yeah,
that a lot of people thought it was fixed for Taylor Swift, and I think they thought that it was going to be very anti-Lamar because, that specific crew was known heavily for throwing flags on the home team. And so I thought there was a lot of no calls made. But the ones that were thrown, you can
Yep.
hate them as much as you want, but they were actually absolutely owned. There was a lot of fighting in that game. The taunting calls were legitimate. Like, you don't have to like the taunting rule. He was standing over the guy. Like, that's the actual definition of you
Yeah.
cannot celebrate right in someone's face while standing over them. Like, I don't think it's going to come down to that again. I think either there's going to be a lot of calls or there's going to be a lot of no calls. I don't think it's going to. Hopefully, it doesn't come to the refs deciding critical things, because the one that pissed me off more than both the holding call, and that was really bad, was that BS call that was called on George Kittle right before half. Remember?
Yep. Oh yeah,
And
I do.
really frustrated, and you saw how young he was then, and he just kind of like sucked it up, got mad at his offense, and went into halftime without really trying anything.
You know who that was
And
on?
I think situations like that don't happen.
That was on Charvarius Ward. That push off before half. In the Super Bowl.
All right, let's give 49er Minded a few minutes on, because he has to leave in a few minutes.
Okay.
Go on, media.
Also, I'm 49er media, not minded.
Oh, sorry about that, Burrow. I got sometimes I get you two mixed up once in a
You're
while.
good. You're good. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really have much else to say. Then I guess I'll just kind of say last things is, yeah, I'm just hoping the defense, hopefully these, 2 weeks is gonna help them, figure out what they need to do. I know Fred Warner yesterday, I believe it was having a huddle with all the defensive guys, having, them talk it up. I'm not too worried about the offense, hopefully, but yeah, let's go win the Super Bowl. Let's get that Lombardi. I'm hoping I get to see my first, 49ers Super Bowl victory. I haven't seen that.
It's
And
awesome.
they're the only team in the Bay Area that I haven't seen win a championship. So let's go get that 6.
So let me ask you this question. How long have you been a 49er fan? And how are you doing in basic college too?
Yeah, I was a fan basically during the Harbaugh day, like 2012 was kind of when I really started becoming a fan. I mean, I paid attention to them in I guess starting 2010, but really wasn't as close to them. Kind of just watched the games, didn't really know too much. But then yeah, after 2012 was kind of when I really became a big fan because of my dad. And then college is going pretty well. Pretty busy.
And I know you took a little bit of break from podcasts because the school got busy and that type of stuff. But at least you're a little bit back on the air a little bit with your 49er friends and family.
Yeah, when I have time, I'll definitely. Like Fridays, I don't have class, so usually I'm not as busy. So
okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you probably saw the intro of me having Corey Davis and Laura Cat on. We do need to come up with the Super Bowl for them too.
100%. Yeah, I mean it's just unfortunate to hear,
To lose,
to lose
yeah.
two really good, faithful. I didn't really know them much, but from at least what I've heard from other people that knew them, they're really great people. So hopefully Niners can go get that 6 for them and anyone else that might be struggling a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on the show. I know that you got to hop out here shortly, so thank you for coming. I'll be putting your logo in basically the special guest on my slideshows. Same with you too, Melissa.
Appreciate that. All right.
Bye, Angel.
Bye-bye.
Bye, bro.
All right, man. Peace. Yep. Hey, quick
I
question.
don't
Are any of
really
you fans of Taylor
have a
Swift?
logo. I have this, which I use from Get 'em Boy.
Okay.
It's one of his Grand Theft Auto edits. And I love that it's the silverback.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that will probably be the logo I'm going to put in. Then I will put your name underneath in gold, because that's what I do with a lot of the guests I have on. I had Red Jet on. I even get Raider fans popping in too because I know them. And most of them are rooting for the Niners to beat the crap out of KC because a lot of them hate them, except for one person that I was watching because I asked him the question last night. He's part of the Black Hole. His name is Captain Jack. He dresses up as a pirate, and he picks the Kansas City Chiefs, but he's from Florida. So
I think there's a lot where they don't want to have to hear the Chiefs say that they won a Super Bowl in their home stadium.
Yeah.
But
hold on, I'll be mute for like 2 minutes.
Okay, dude.
Carcast, what are you most excited about for this Super Bowl?
I think he will be right back. For me, it would be so my kids get to see the Super Bowl because I got my 15-year-old and my 5-year-old. Edwin does the subscribe to daddy. I'm going to change that up for next season with both the kids, because I let them be a part of the podcast instead of having them torture me when I'm doing podcasts, especially when I was at the beginning. And those two are a ham show every day. Both of them are artistic. They both have ADHD, and it's like 90 day once in a while. So if I can get them into a sport, that's great, and that type of stuff. But for me, it's to let the kids see how football runs and that type of stuff. And my 15-year-old does play football. He plays wide back, and he plays basically cornerback. Carcast, are you back? Are you ready to answer the question that Melissa asked?
All I know is I really hope that if the Betamax existence is used in this game, they don't use him on short yardage because he sucks at it. And I have a bad feeling that that's coming back again. As much as everybody else loves him for whatever reason, Kyle Juszczyk cannot get you that hard 1 to 3 yards that you need, especially in the end zone.
Yeah. Juszczyk is tough going in, but he's getting up in age too. His body is probably in a lot of pain too, because they do get hit like Mack trucks.
It's not that though. It's like you have Brandon Willis blocking more now. You have Charlie Warner blocking more now, and it's just like Kyle Juszczyk. It's like they want to justify paying him like $8 million, whereas in like guys like that, Jawan Jennings and Brock Purdy, who aren't even getting like $1 million
Yeah.
and are on 1-year tenders, can't even see the field unless they're absolutely needed. And it's just like Kyle Juszczyk, like he can catch. I'm not saying he can't do that, and people take him legitimately enough where he is used as a decoy a lot.
Yep.
But and he is clutch in those scenarios where like I think it's taken Brandon and Debo a long time to learn. Like, like back when it was Jimmy, you remember they would just
Yep.
run routes, and they knew
Yep.
never to expect the ball. And now they're like, oh shit, this kid's fast enough where we really have to be on our game because the ball really will hit us. Like it's no longer empty routes anymore.
Yeah.
And Kyle Juszczyk is like that guy, kind of like the fail safe where if everything else is kind of blocked, Purdy feels comfortable enough to throw it to him and he's going to catch it. But he's not a running back, and I really wish they would stop treating him like a running back because those are the situations where those are like those boneheaded things, like how Lion fans felt with Dan Campbell in the 4th downs,
Yep.
where you really can't lean on that. Like it's being too cute, and it's never going to work.
Yeah. Part of my feeling, I was hoping that they were going to keep basically Jack Collette on the team and let Juszczyk go.
I felt about that. I felt that way about Josh Hackett.
Because I looked up stats on him.
I fought for him so hard. Josh Hackett was like a wrestling and football star, and no, he's gone. Jack Collette is gone.
And he played about 4 positions too, what I found out.
Yeah.
Because
but you can't blame these guys. They're like, we'll stay. Not that many people give fullbacks a shot, and then it's just like, how many years do you expect these kids to stay on a practice squad, constantly get cut, because you constantly have to bring in new corners or new safeties, and so you're not even getting a steady paycheck because you're constantly cut, then signed, and cut, then signed, then cut, then signed, because there's other injuries and guys coming off IR onto IR. It's just like that's no stability for someone, and it's just like you really can't blame these guys because it's like he doesn't want to go away. Like there was a story for like 4 years that the Juszczyks have family on the East Coast, they wanted to go back to the East Coast, and it's just like this guy won't go away. And it's not that he's not productive and that he's not essential. It's just like at some time you have to rip off the Band-Aid, Yep. It's like you couldn't keep Armstead to force Buckner, and you made your choice, whether you think it was the right choice or not. You made the choice. And it's like the same thing with the secondary. It's like for so long they were so afraid of breaking up Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt because they played all the way back to high school, and it's just like at some point you got to rip off the Band-Aid, and everyone kept saying it even throughout all of last year. You're doing Jimmy Ward so wrong, but Jimmy Ward would get these. They wouldn't catch interceptions and they wouldn't stop drives, and it's just like at some point you got to rip off the Band-Aid. Remember how much hatred everyone gave to Sean Gibson last year because of his age?
Oh yeah. Yep.
But then at the same time, Jimmy Ward's age was not an issue, and he had way more injuries. It's just like I wish, but I know it's never going to happen until he chooses to leave.
Oh yeah. Because I know Juszczyk is having too much fun in San Francisco. His wife is doing the clothing line too, so
that's the one thing that gives me hope. But here's the bigger issue. It's not just Kyle Juszczyk that needs to go the hell away. It's Ross Dwelley.
Yep.
Ross Dwelley has been staying here simply because he's like George Kittle's best friend.
Yeah.
And he can't stay healthy. He can't block. He can barely catch. I don't care what anyone says. You can call him diamond hands all you want. He can barely catch. And he was atrocious on special teams.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is Ross Dwelley's contract's up this year. I hope they ain't gonna re-sign him because he needs to go and let some new guys come in. Myself, I'm
is
not
crazy.
a big fan of them.
And it's crazy because like everyone's saying like you can't pay Brandon Ayuk and Javon Jennings, but it's just like, okay, so this offseason you're not paying T Ford anymore. Finally, Dwelly's finally up. Like,
Yep.
There's a chance Arik Armstead's gone due to injury.
Yeah.
Right. There's a likelihood that Tashawn Gibson is gone, whether I like it or not, because he said he was coming back this year because he was having too much fun with Hufanga. And so you're having a bunch of these guys move on. And even Chase Young is up for contract-wise. So it's very possible. And like I said, this team drafts defense more than offense. And so I don't understand how you can't keep two receivers that fit all the criteria that you always say that you want. They run their routes hard. They clear out. They block. You have Brandon Ayuk, who really is your receiver one, but nobody wants to give him credit, running like 70 yards down the field and still throwing blocks for Christian McCaffrey, even though the play has nothing to do with him. Like, I don't understand how anybody wouldn't want to pick him.
Yeah, like to Brian's comments. I can definitely see Juszczyk retiring if he wins the Super Bowl because one of his age. And yes, he is a good fullback too. Probably a legend fullback too. So I would rate him as one of my top fullbacks I like. And I don't have that many fullbacks I really like that much by my standards.
I still like,
but Juszczyk is one of them I like.
I still like Mike Allstott from the Buccaneers.
Yep.
What was that? Chase Young is known as what?
Yeah, because his nickname is basically the Predator, but they had to give it to Fred Warner too because of the dreads. So, yeah, I think Chase Young needs to act more like a predator and go hunting.
I don't get it. Like, the one thing he complained about as a commander was that they had no fire over there. They weren't competing for anything. Like, that it was hard to get up when you're not really expected to do anything, and now you're on a legitimate Super Bowl team.
Yeah, on a Super Bowl team.
You're still coming out flat. And you know what really scares me about Chase Young? It's not the fire in his belly or how hard he comes out. It's that this is the quarterback you can't come in late on sacks and tackles on Patrick Mahomes. And I feel like a lot of Chase Young's flashier plays are when Armstead or Bosa or Warner or somebody else already has the quarterback down, and then Chase comes in and hits him again.
Yeah.
And that worries me more than anything on this defense right now.
Yeah, and I have been watching a few of the practice videos. They're working Chase Young pretty hard right now to be like, no, you got to move. And that's what I would expect when I used to play because we were always running.
And Brian, I'm never going to love Kyle Juszczyk. I love you, but never going to happen. Ever.
Some people like him, some people don't like Juszczyk. There's a lot of people that don't like certain players.
You're the anti Kyle Juszczyk.
See, me, I don't like Patrick Mahomes for a reason. I don't like Jalen Hurts because they're overrated. Because
that's so funny.
Those guys are talents.
No, you know what? It's funny about Jalen Hurts. He had one magical run last year, right? Where he was feasting on all the Pro Bowlers and all the special people all around him, and he's
that had talent.
20.5 plus sacks or some crazy stat, and yet everyone calls him elite. They call Josh Allen elite, and yet none of them come up huge in the playoffs. And yet Brock Purdy to this day has done this 2 years in a row, gotten to the NFC Championship game, and
Yep.
nobody will give him credit. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
because I have seen Pat McAfee is jumping everybody and saying, "Yo, what are you guys looking at?"
Yeah, but that's more like Pat McAfee wanting to be the antithesis on ESPN, and that's kind of what he was hired to do. So you had Mike Greenberg start his spiel when the defense was on their thing by calling it the Niners Invitational, and now him and all the other big heads have kind of like slowed down and gone on like the anti-Purdy train.
Yep.
And so now Pat is free to be the pro Purdy, pro Niners guy.
Yep.
Because everybody else is anti, and that's kind of what he's supposed to be the balance to. So when ESPN is dragged for having one narrative on all their flagship shows, Pat McAfee is supposed to be the anti guy. So he's supposed to be the guy who cusses and is not Disney friendly and has his own remarkable takes. But it's not really his takes. It's just whatever the rest of ESPN isn't marching to.
Yeah, and plus Pat McAfee used to be a Colt kicker. That's my brother's favorite team. He likes the Colts anyway, mostly because of what's that quarterback's name? I know Andrew Luck. He liked. Yeah, my brother liked Peyton Manning too, and I'm like, yeah, he's a good quarterback. Would I call him great? To a certain point, yes, but then to a point, no, because they do have off seasons.
And
they do
the
have.
Craziest part is the narrative that makes me so angry about it is like, okay, so Brock isn't built like the other guys. That's fair. It's never going to change. I mean, you're not going to give him like some super soldier thing, and he's not going to turn into like Chris Evans.
Yeah.
But like everyone keeps saying like he doesn't lift up anybody, like keeps saying that, like even Chris Canty this morning was like, oh, he's surrounded by like 7 other Pro Bowlers on offense. Okay, so here's the thing. If Brock Purdy's not doing anything and he's not elevating anyone, then why is Christian McCaffrey in another 2,000-yard season? Brandon Ayuk is in another 1,000-yard season. Deebo Samuel is in another 3rd season. George Kittle is in another 1,000-yard season, and Jawan Jennings is having his best statistical year. Kyle Juszczyk has come out of the doom and gloom of not being used and having his best season in a while. Like, if Brock Purdy wasn't lifting up anybody, why are they in the Super Bowl again? And why has this team bought into him so well? Whereas in every other quarterback was carried by their O-lines or offensive weapons or defense, and yet only Brock Purdy is being knocked at for having those people around him.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what's even crazier? He's not up for comeback player of the year, but Joe Flacco is.
Man, I remember when he was on the Ravens.
Explain that to me. When became okay? When did this become okay? And I blame Tannehill because it started with really him. But these guys were absolute bust. Like, nobody believed in them. Quarterbacks that were sitting on couches, and then out of nowhere, the team got hot around them, and yet they're going to be given comeback player of the year. Like, when was this a thing?
Yeah, I know. Technically, it should comeback player should be a player that went down so far, or a comeback player from an injury, and those are the type of players I would give like a comeback award to, by my standard. So, what do you think about Drake Jackson? How he did good, and then he started slumping off.
Okay, so I think Drake Jackson would be better off with D'Amico Ryans. And I love Drake Jackson, and I love the Trojans. But I don't think that he has kind of mentality you need to handle a Steve Wilkes system. So I
Yeah.
don't think that he has the experience. Now, that's not to say that he can't grow into it. Like Kinlaw, for a lot of people, would have said that he would never grow into the system, and he kind of has. He's worked really hard with Armstead. Like Armstead's really taking him under his wing. I think
Oh, yeah.
Armstead kind of felt that Kinlaw was kind of getting the same treatment that he was. Like a lot of people hated Armstead because he wasn't DeForest Buckner, and
Yeah.
that had a lot of injuries early in the season. Earlier in his career, and Nick Bosa, for all of the good stuff about him, he doesn't really have that mentorship thing where he's gonna sit somebody down, really train them up. He'll give them pointers, but he's not like that guy. And so,
Yeah.
unless Drake Jackson really buckles down himself, works on his body himself, or finds some kind of mentor, I think he needs that overly aggressive coaching that someone like a D'Amico Ryans can bring out in him, that really believes in them.
Because my honest opinion, I think Drake Jackson will probably get traded during the offseason, probably to D'Amico, and make the Texans look a little bit more better, because they look good this year with the first running into the playoffs. And yeah, it would have been nice to have the base of the Texans versus the Niner Super Bowl too.
I wanted that so bad. You know what's funny? I got every single playoff game right except for 2, and those were absolute heart picks.
Yeah.
I wanted Texans over the Ravens, and then I wanted the Bills over the Chiefs. Neither one of those happened.
Yeah, See, I don't care for the Chiefs because that's my ex-wife's team, and sorry, I can't root for ex-wife's teams anyway.
It's just that I can't stand Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, see, I have it right there. I picked the Texans versus the Niners.
I cannot stand Jerick McKinnon. I cannot. It would kill me not only to lose twice to the Chiefs, but have Jerick McKinnon win a second Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
I cannot do it.
And the other thing is, what do you think about when Taylor Swift came into the Chiefs? They call it the Kingdom. I call it the joke, because that's all that they are to me. And I do call them KC Swifties for a reason, because that's a better name than the Chiefs, so why not change it?
You know what I don't like about the Chiefs? I don't like during COVID, they made like almost like a national mandate that you were supposed to stop with all the Native American stuff, so they took away the Cleveland Indians. That they tried to take away the Sentinels, but they said that they pay a specific tribe, so they fought for that and got to keep it. But everybody else was supposed to be banned from their thing.
Yep.
Right? That's why they became the football team. I don't understand that there was a mandate. Nobody ever talks about this. There was a mandate to stop the chop. Remember?
Yep.
The Chiefs were one of the few organizations allowed to have fans because they were the Super Bowl reigning champion. It was outdoors, in the middle of where it is. But remember, the one rule was supposed to be to have fans that were supposed to stop doing the chop and the chant. Never stopped doing either one of them. And it's just like, they've been skating on this whole new dynasty thing where like the NFL wants that one new dynasty so badly. I hope it's our team that destroys that and makes them 500. Because it's really ridiculous at this point. It's just like a soap opera.
Oh, yeah. Because you got your highs during the Lions game, and then you're like, oh, crap. Basically, look. And basically, when Jake Moody missed that first kick, I was like, oh, no, come on. I had to calm myself down. It was like, that's only in the first quarter. There's still 3 more quarters left.
I didn't lose my shit for this game. I lost my shit over the Packer game, and that's mostly because my brother is an obnoxious cheese fan. But no, I see the thing with the Lions game was I knew how special their offensive weapons were. And
Yeah.
our defense, even going back to D'Amico, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I'm not. You remember with D'Amico Ryans, they would always have one half
Yep.
where they were hot or cold.
Yep.
Remember, in the Texans game, they were cold and then they turned hot. And there was only like a handful of games under D'Amico Ryans where you felt like they were hot the whole game. Like the Saints game, remember where they pitched the shutout? It was 13-0. There
Yeah.
was so few of those games where they were hot for all 4 quarters. And so I expected them to struggle. I didn't think it was going to be 24-7, but I knew they were going to struggle, right?
Yeah.
But what I felt comfortable with was that Dan Campbell was going to Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Right? Dan Campbell was going to take too many shots like Riverboat Ryan used to be. Every time. This is the funny part. I was at a bar watching this game. I've never gone to a bar to watch a game ever before. I never watched a game with a bunch of fans before. And so every time they went for it on 4th down, everyone was like, they're faking it. They're faking it. They're going to fake it. No, they're going for it. And I knew those situations would put the Niners back in the game. And I knew that the second that they screwed up a 4th down, or the second Nick Bosa sacked, or the second that Goff felt the pressure, he was going to Jared Goof it. And he Jared Goof it.
Yep.
And as much as I love those receivers, the second the pressure starts turning up on them, they were to start lioning the Lion way, and they were to go back to the same old Lions. And so that game I never really felt scared in. I didn't know if he would have enough opportunities to get back in it. And that's kind of what the Niners have been all year this year. Whether you believe in someone, whether you like someone, the Niners really beat the Niners. So if they screw up, it's more on them. And it's not to take away from what the other team's doing, because they're absolutely capitalizing on it.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think the Niners really beat the Niners. You know, the way that all the big talking heads always said that the Ravens don't lose games, the Ravens beat themselves, and they should be undefeated. I genuinely believe that about our team. The worst enemy of the Niners is not the opposite team, it's themselves.
Yep. Because their worst enemy is themselves. And I definitely like Brian and John Jay's comment. Brian he likes the Taylor Swift songs. Some of them are good. And then you got some Taylor Swift songs.
You don't like Taylor Swift. It's just she's become such a spectacle.
Yeah.
It's you can't even.
It gets overrated.
I loved country Taylor Swift, and then she became pop synthetic microphone Taylor Swift, and I was like, okay, I really don't like this. And then she came up with a few songs that are just so catchy, you can't help but love them.
Yeah.
And then it's the never-ending stuff. It's just there's always something about the Chiefs. They have to be obnoxiously
annoying.
Kardashian-like. It's like when Brittany Mahomes and Patrick's brother were making a spectacle of themselves, whether it was Taylor logo or any of the other things where they were dancing on teams' logos and going on TikTok. It's just there's always that extra something, and it's just they're trying to outcompete now against Peyton Manning for who can be the most obnoxious person with all the different commercials.
And have you heard the Taylor Swift's rap song? I'm like, no, please don't sing that one. You're more better as a country star or a pop star, one of the two.
And now ESPN's be like, oh, she should crash the halftime show. Please, that's the worst idea anyone's ever put on live TV before.
Oh wow, Brian did a good one. Katy Perry.
Katy Perry is an engaged woman with kids to Orlando Bloom. Can we stop. Like, could you imagine how annoying the Niners would be if we had one of those wives?
Yeah.
The team where we had like the Jessica Simpson in the stands with the pink jersey, and every time we lose, we start
Yep.
blaming the wife or the girlfriend.
Yeah.
Would be
That-
Do we want to be the Chiefs and the Cowboys?
Cowboys, I hate them that
I
bad.
like Swift. Right now, I find her repugnant. There's a very good chance that once all this dies down, I'll like her again. She's
Yeah.
just like those artists, like you go through spurts loving.
Yeah, it's basically like in your face 24/7, like in my situation. I got 2 dogs. One dog likes to be right beside me all the time, and your dog probably does the same thing. Or it's my kids that's in my face. I'm like, okay, space, please, especially my youngest one.
No, it's like I don't know if you remember this from a couple of years ago when he lost American Idol got kicked off. You remember Chris Daughtry came out and you loved
Yes.
he had that gravelly, great voice, but then every station, whether it was rock or not, had It's Not Over on, and you could not escape that for like 5
Yep.
months. It got so bad. Like I had bought his album and I literally had to fight myself not to crack it over my goddamn knee because I was so sick of that song.
Yep.
And then it took me years to recover and to get back into listening to him again. Like, it's that bad.
Thanks, Ryan.
You know what the one part is? Every time I start hating Taylor Swift, the one thing that gets me back into Taylor Swift, it's not Taylor herself. It's the lip sync battle from the very first episode of Lip Sync Battle. And seeing their rock to Shake It Off. That's still one of the funniest things ever.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
Brian's having fun.
What do you expect out of this game? Like, what do you think is going to be like the fun matchup, the frustrating matchup?
The frustrating part is if anybody just jogs to after a play gets past you. I would rather see everybody running, getting to the ball as quickly as possible, making the right plays, stopping Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce likes to do basically has Butterfingers once in a while. I want to see him dropping the ball.
Did you see how many drops he had in that Buccaneers Super Bowl?
Nobody
mentioned that. Everyone mentions that they had no protection for Patrick Mahomes, but people forget just how many passes him and Tyreek Hill both dropped in that game. It's crazy. Now here's the thing: like you're talking about like a Debo or somebody else like walking players and not really doing their thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing. You have to pace yourself, and people get tired and stuff like that. My fear, and this one is a real one, is say somebody picks him off, whether it's Mooney Ward, Diamador Lenore, Sean Gibson, Dre Greenlaw, whatever. And you
J.D.
have that
Brown.
Well, if he plays, I'm not putting that out there because I still don't know if it's going to happen. So let's say somebody from one of those people gets a turnover, right? And it's very possible. He has like what 5 interceptions or something in the Super Bowl over his so far, right? So my fear is someone like Fred Warner doing what he did during the Packers game. And so, like, when other guys were going around him trying to tell him to go down or blocking for him, like a Diamador Lenore did, you remember that thing that went viral was that everybody else was here, Dre was here, and this is Fred.
Yep.
So way back. battling way.
He was getting out of that play.
He's like, I'm not helping. I'm not clearing out. I'm not telling him to go down. I'm thinking about Fred Warner.
Yep.
And that's what scares me, the selfishness and the thinking about yourself thing. And the one that does that mostly on offense is Debo.
Yep.
The play is not on Debo's side of the field. If Debo's not required to catch or thinks he's getting the ball or has to block, Debo half-assed it. And he even admitted in his own presser that one play he had to like kind of like giddy up because he didn't expect the ball towards him. And Debo has never been that guy that's going to go 20, 30 yards down the field. And even if it's not required of him to make a block, he barely does it when he has to.
Yep.
Those things concern me.
Yeah, I like how basically Jennings blocks. I like how George Kittle blocks. BA made the best catch that I have ever seen.
Blocking more than freaking Debo now.
Yeah.
The rest of them are so hungry. It's just, that's so scary. It's like, if not now, when?
Yep.
Like, it's like, you have so much talent, so many veterans. You fought, you've seen how hard it is, even with like the newer guys that came in 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to get to this precipice. Like, I genuinely, if we just get outmatched, if we just can't keep up with Spags, that's one thing. But if the effort's not there, if they just don't sell out, like, I don't want to be what I've always made fun of. So like, I've always made fun of Cam Newton because I mean, you took all that talk, you ate up when prime time, and the rest of them were all praising you that you were the next that you were going to be like Michael Vick mixed in with Young and be better than Randall Cunningham and all these guys all mixed together.
Yep.
And then
I remember that
happened. You had that huge fumble. You don't even try to allocate arm. You like just like fall back far away from the fumble. You won't even sell out for the fumble. And then throughout the game, and I remember this very vividly, you had him on the sideline or the end zone, and he was literally on like his belly and he was pounding his fist in his feet like a toddler. And it's just like, I don't want to be a fan that has to watch my team be like that.
Yeah. I would say RG3 had more better talents than Cam Newton any day. Yeah, he left. He had to do an early retirement, but it's the way that he was presenting himself. At least he's part of the cast crew now.
Yeah, but the difference thing though there is, RG3 was humbled. Cam Newton never really got humbled. So like RG3 got kind of humbled when he went to Cleveland, and not even Cleveland said like, dude, we believe in you, we'll give you a chance, you can start over with us. And when he had to see someone like Lamar Jackson shine in front of him and he had to kind of mentor him, I think that really humbled him. And he's much better as an announcer and a hot take person, which he really is right now. But Cam Newton's never had that. And so like, I think he really honestly believes that once he took over for Brady and the Patriots, he was going to take off. And when that never really happened, and when he got benched versus the Niners, like he just had like this hard on for the Niners ever since he got benched versus the Niners.
Yep.
And
oh no, it's our Eagle friend.
Spongy.
Yo.
Oh, it's Jalen Hurts. What up, bud?
Spongy, how do we feel about Kellen Moore calling your offense?
There's some negatives and positives of it.
Okay.
You know, the two negatives are, you know, his past two experiences where he's gotten fired. with
Two organizations.
two organizations, yes. With the Cowboys, do we really count them? Because he had 4 years. He had 4 years with them, and he had head coaching potential with them. There was some Cowboys fans were saying that they wanted him as their head coach.
Yeah.
So he definitely has the potential. And the other negative is him getting picked up next year, getting poached possibly for a head coaching job, which isn't really a negative, no, because there is other guys out there for us. But if he really succeeds with us, then I want to keep him because, I actually finally want to pay a guy because few OCs that we've had that were really good, we just let them go. Like even I don't think we've even tried to give them any more money than we already like a guy like Shane Steichen. I understand these guys want to go be head coaches, but there are some guys who just want to stick at the same position that they're in. Mm-hmm. You guys have some of that with Chris Kocurek, your linebackers coach. I believe. I don't think is he a linebacker D line coach, where you've offered him the DC job many times, and I think he'd be a great DC for any team, but he wants to stick at that position for you guys. Mm-hmm. So, he's loyal. So, I just want a guy like that. And and the positives are what he has experience, and that I think we have the team that fits him. Like, Smith and Brown. Like they've come out and said, or Smith really come out and said that he's very excited for, more system. And he's had great receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and what he had last year with the Chargers and with the Cowboys.
Now, Spongy, I have a question for you. Do you think there's some kind of backdoor deal with McDaniels and Belichick or Dan Quinn and McCarthy, where maybe he came to the Eagles because he was kind of promised if this guy gets fired, you have a shot at becoming our next head coach?
Yeah, possibly.
Because there was a lot on Sirianni, and I think, what was it? Was it your owner or your GM that came out and said if he didn't get a new DC and fire everybody, he was going to lose his job too?
I believe he had met with our owner, and he was in there for a long time. But I think, although what I heard is that Bill Belichick is interested in coming here next year, and we're that's if we fire Sirianni. So I would think that Kellen Moore, if he does well, that he gets a coaching job next year, like a head coaching job, or he gets more money to go be an OC somewhere. Okay, so we have Bill Belichick, and hey, I could see this. Or no, actually, I can't see that. Never mind. But I was gonna say demote Sirianni to OC, but we've seen how that went.
Here's the thing, though, Spongy. If he really wanted to stay with the Eagles, you could always do what the Niners did, which was not only make him your OC, but also making him an assistant head coach to give him a little boost in salary and rank, which will make it then easier for future opportunities to become a head coach.
Is that Nick Sirianni or Kellen Moore?
We'll talk about Kellen Moore.
Okay.
Hey, Spongy, I got a quick question for you.
Yes.
Since you're young, and it will be a quarterback question for you. I know you like Jalen Hurts. What do you think about Cam Newton?
So, I think he still I think the only problem with him is that, you know, he's famous and he thinks he has a big enough voice to go out and that he didn't bring my quarterback into it, which I mean is perfect. But, you know, that's because Hurts is kind of another version of him.
Your quarterback was part of it, Spongy.
Yeah, it was. He did bring him in.
He was painted with the same brush as Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick, and Joe Burrow as the ones that get shit done and are asked to do a lot and carry their team. So you weren't part of the negative part of it, but you were technically part of it.
Yeah. You know, I just think since he was a MVP first overall pick guy, he doesn't want to make it seem like, oh, the last guy in the draft, you know, won an MVP, you know, talking about Purdy, how he could possibly win an MVP this year. I don't, even though he's technically out of the league, I don't think he wants that to happen because he's like, oh, I was the first overall pick. You know, I won MVP. Oh, wait, there's a guy who was the last pick in the draft and he won MVP too. So I think it's just he doesn't want. I think he still thinks he has the spotlight on him, which I don't know why, but
hey Spongy, there was a quarterback that was a undrafted that did become a MVP too, and it's the sorry ass Rams.
Yeah, but here's the difference between that and this. Kurt Warner wasn't drafted. He was Mr. Irrelevant.
And it was before Cam Newton's time
on it
in the NFL.
And so Kurt Warner, it's easier for people to swallow because it was during the non-era of the internet.
Yep.
B, he was a true underdog story because nobody saw him. He was bagging groceries. Like he wasn't even thought about being drafted. And Brock was technically drafted. You know, people say kind of hate that Mr. Irrelevant, whoever they are, get this big parade in California and this whole event put around them. They hate that the Niners are being dominant again. And that he challenges every belief that they have that these guys have to look a certain way, throw a certain way, play a certain way. And they were so adamant that the pocket passer was extinct that someone who is not exactly strictly a pocket passer, but it is a kind of throwback to the pocket passers of old, has kind of ruined football for them because as much as they don't come up big in the playoffs, they love a Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson because it's easier to have narratives about them and positive narratives and positive feedback because they have such electric plays and bombs, these big flashy plays they can put on the top 10 on ESPN, and they make a lot of money because of the fantasy aspect and betting aspect and all these other things. And Brock is not just that. He's not flashy, and that's what they love.
And, you know, I have two things to add to what you had asked me earlier. You know, I think one of the things, and I hate to say it, but he might be putting color into it, which, I mean, but it's possible. Because did he throw, and he threw these guys who were still young, not like a 20, not like, Hurts who's 24, but he threw guys that are just coming into the league in that conversation.
Yep.
So, I guess.
See, I don't agree there, Spongy, because he did name drop guys like a Justin Herbert, a Joe Burrow, a Josh Allen, who are all white. I can't go that far. Now, I'm not saying that actual networks and actual media heads that are getting millions of dollars to talk sports don't feel
Aren't-
that way.
Yeah.
But even they always at least drop a Burrow or a Josh Allen in the mix, if not a Herbert. So
I
I don't
just had to bring that up because
thing,
Yeah.
but I do think there's a bit of that to it. But I'm not saying because there's no way it's not a story or not an issue.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I don't think it's strictly a color-based thing, and I think that's
Yeah,
very insensitive to make you even think of saying that that's why.
Oh wow!
I wanted to bring
Read
it up 'cause
Brian's
that's-
comment.
If I met Cam Newton, I would ask, "Why do you dress like that?"
No, but
Ask
You
him if
also
he's
saw-
ridiculous.
Good one, Brian.
you also saw this year, or this offseason actually, it was news. You know how Bill Belichick was supposed to possibly be the next Falcons head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I could, and Cam Newton came out and said if he was coming back, he would want to be a Falcon. And we all know why. And that is because of Bill Belichick. Because it was during that news too. And remember, Cam played under Bill in 2020 with the Patriots. But,
Yep.
So I think, and Bill is moving to the booth for this year, he said. And if a coaching vacancy is available next year, he might take it from anywhere. Like I heard the Eagles were very interested in him this year if it fell through with Nick Sirianni.
Spencer,
So-
didn't you also bring in Arthur Smith? Didn't you bring in the Falcons' former head coach for DC or something?
No. We brought in Vic Fangio for DC.
Hmm.
And
Carry on.
I believe Arthur Smith is an offensive guy. So, but he might have gone somewhere. I don't know. But here's another thing. Like this is a hot take, but since Bill is moving to technically the media, you know, he might be going to ESPN or Sports Network, one of these places for a year. Kind of like, Tom Brady, how he got offered that massive, massive contract, but he just hasn't started yet. So you know how Cam Newton has a podcast?
Hmm?
Yep.
It wouldn't shock me. And this just came across in my head. What if we had a Bill Belichick and Cam Newton podcast?
I would not go to it. I would be like, peace out.
You saw it towards the end of this, I believe it was week 17, where Bill had gone on some show, and he was laughing, smiling. He was the happiest we've actually ever
Okay,
seen him.
Spongy, I don't think the idea of Bill Belichick breaking his aura of being surly onto the next team, whatever it was that week, thing can't be cracked if this is what he chooses to do. And he's shown throughout the different things that he's done for the NFL Network that he's willing to show some of his personality when it
Yeah.
comes to talking about the history of the NFL. It's not
Yeah.
to say that he won't go onto a podcast per se. The thing about the Cam Newton podcast is it's about Cam Newton.
Him.
And it's a
But
lot
I'm
of
saying,
there's a lot of crazy talk, and it's a lot of anger and a lot of hate and a lot of dissing people. And for all of Bill Belichick's less, I guess, cuddly personality traits, the guy has the ultimate respect for all players and all teams in the history of the football. And
it would be
and generally, even if they could collaborate and play together again, and try to be together, head coach and quarterback again, I don't see him going that far for attention.
Yeah. But I wasn't necessarily saying it would be on Cam's current podcast. I was saying they could possibly start, or Bill could start one, and maybe have the co-host as Cam Newton, or have another guy on. But I could definitely see, Bill doing something for at least a year, or he's gonna pull a Tom Brady and just be out of the media for a year. I don't know, and then come back next year. But I think he was really expecting that job this year from the Falcons, and he just didn't get it. They wanted to go younger, so they hired the Rams defensive coordinator, if I'm wrong. And John, I have a quick question for you.
Go for it.
I have an idea for a future show because I can't do it on my thing.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to share my screen and stuff. But doing a possible mock draft.
Okay. Yeah, that part's easy. It's just we can probably, because I'm trying to get enough guys on that's from opposite teams, so basically we can do a mock draft, because I do have Raider friends. I just got to get a few other different guys on the show, and we can have a little bit of fun with it. Because
trust me, I've been looking into this draft desperately.
Nice. Yeah, because as soon as the Super Bowl's over, I'm going to go back to studying the draft picks and see where they rate and that type of stuff, because the combine hasn't happened yet, and that's a big target range of knowing who's we're picking and who we are not picking and who we got eyes on. Because I know right now we have at least two guys that we are definitely looking at.
Who are you guys looking at? Because
well, if you think about the two dads that's part of the San Francisco franchise, like Brandon Rice and Frank Gore, I think they got another eye on Luke Christian McCaffrey's little brother too.
Is that okay? Yeah. I just gotta say something about that. All those guys you're mentioning,
other teams are looking at them too.
Well, no, I don't think many teams are looking at Luke McCaffrey, because he is supposed to go, 6th, 7th round undrafted.
Yep.
He is not supposed to be. Although I did see that he is a very speedy receiver, because I did look into him. But is that McCaffrey's little brother? Because doesn't he also?
Yeah.
Didn't McCaffrey had an older brother who was a quarterback that was named Luke?
No, that was I forget his name, but he had four. Christian McCaffrey had four, 3 other brothers. Ed had 4 kids all total, and that type of stuff. So 2 of them have played for opposite teams. They all did okay, but they didn't get like their name like in the spotlight the most, like Christian has. Luke should, and Deion Sanders.
Special teams. I'm saying
Deion Sanders' 2 kids are coming out in the draft. No, this year, I believe.
No, they're not coming out this year.
Oh, okay.
Deion's kids are staying at Colorado.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Son was considering it, the linebacker or DB.
He's a free safety.
Yeah. The quarterback one is staying at Colorado. But here's the thing: I don't really see the Niners looking at any of these 3 players with ties to the Niners legacy. Because, like I said, they don't really pick offensive people. Here's the thing: I do think that whether the guys were, high or low, wherever people see them going, I do think they get a chance because you remember a couple of years ago, Troy Warner, brother of Fred Warner, was coming out, and he went undrafted, shot with the
Yeah, he did.
Rams, Buccaneers, because people were kind of hoping that that bloodline would kind of pay off, and he went from practice squad to practice squad. So
Yeah.
yeah, about the three names, I definitely have looked at Brendan because I know we're looking for a third receiver. And he definitely has a lot of upside. My only concern is where he's going,
Mhm.
like at what position, because there are definitely guys that are higher than him or lower than him that have more potential. I think if it wasn't, he also had Caleb Williams as his quarterback, and I don't know how well he produced. I didn't look into him that much. But
Caleb Williams is going to be dropping. He should be going out in the second or third round.
Caleb,
Because
in the second or third, no, he's going first overall.
No, I've been hearing talk that he's going to drop in at least the first round for sure, to probably the top second round. Because there was some stuff that's on film that it did hurt him a little bit.
Well, yeah, but they're still projecting him to be a generational guy, and how you can't not draft him at number 1. I haven't seen any reports.
I genuinely don't think Caleb's going to be 1 overall the way that he was guaranteed to be last year when he was coming off the Heisman.
Well, the only problem is
I think the thing that will hurt him more than the tape, more than people whining about the viral video after the Washington game where he was crying in his mother's arms, even though my father still bitches about that, which drives me crazy. I think what's going to hurt him more is the injuries, because he was injured last year, and he still tried to like suck it up, but he got hurt last year when they were on the precipice of going into the playoffs. He's hurt this year, and I think that's far more concerning. And it's also recency bias, because you forget that Penix and Bo Nix and the rest of them are at the Senior Bowl, and they're all getting hyped up, and they're all, look at how great their squads were this year. Look at how many wins they got this year. And it's an easier, more palatable story of how good they are right now compared to what Caleb did last year, where he flashed. And it's just, what have you most recently done for me?
Yeah, Sponge, you also have lost that game, by the way.
What game?
See,
the game on your profile picture.
No, but like I got about Caleb. I mean, I think he's definitely going top 3. I don't think there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
He's going to the Bears.
I want him to go to the Bears.
Bears have the first pick,
so I can shit on Michael.
Yeah, because Michael said if Caleb goes to the Bears, he's no longer a Bears fan. Oh, no, but like I gotta say this. I mean, I think he's definitely going top 3. He cannot fall out of that for his good, because all the hype, and it's so gonna mess up the draft board.
So what?
But I know. I'm just saying.
I mean, nobody thought Justin Fields was gonna fall to 12. It happened.
By the way,
he also didn't have number 1 pick hype.
So what? Nobody thought Trubisky was going to be the first quarterback off the board, and that Deshaun Watson was going to fall the way he did. Happened. Aaron Rodgers was promised first overall by the Niners, which became an obnoxious story he had to hear every single year, and he fell into the 20s. Like, this shit happens. I mean, how many years did we all make fun of Mike Mayoko, the GM of the Raiders, because he was just like these random guys like that people barely had on their radar for day 3 in like the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and nobody knew who the hell they were, let alone where they were going to college. he just had these random weird picks in the first round. Like things happen.
Hey, Spongy,
Yes,
the
but
Eagles don't need a third wide receiver, by the way.
looking at one.
I think Zacchaeus can be that guy.
No,
he
it's no, because Quez Watkins, he's had some up and downs. He's a free agent. They're most likely not bringing him back. So is
Didn't you
Zacchaeus.
get a receiver not that long ago that
Yeah.
didn't pan out for you? That was a high draft pick, Ragnow or something.
Lion Center.
Isn't he
That's
a center
Lion
for the
Center.
Lions? Yeah.
No, who was the guy that went to your team, Spongy?
Say-
It started with an R.
Wait, no, wait.
Last name started with an R, I thought.
Rager.
Jalen Rager, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wasn't he a first round pick?
He got picked before Justin Jefferson. Yes.
Damn.
So yeah. About that. There's these guys who are hyped, and guys who aren't. Basically what you just said. Nobody. I mean, people expected Jefferson to be a top end receiver, but people thought Jalen Reagor was gonna be good. But he ended up not panning out. So I think we cut him, and now and then he went to the. I don't know, and then he got traded to the cut and went to the Vikings or something. I don't know. But he's currently with the Vikings, and they're now saying that even if we keep Zacchaeus, Watkins is most likely gone, just because he didn't produce this year.
Yep. Oh, sorry.
With Zacchaeus, they're saying the Eagles are concerned about his injury history.
I think
Injury history. So
when it comes to the receivers for the Eagles, I think you guys need a bigger body besides AJ Brown, because I don't think Quez Watkins is not a big guy. Zacchaeus, he's not the biggest, but I think you need that physical presence besides AJ, because Devontae Smith's great and all, but he's definitely not the most physical.
It's a good thing. That was the good thing last year with Julio Jones.
Yep.
He's a big body guy. I don't want him to come back. He just came off. I think the only reason he has not announced his retirement yet is maybe he wants to have his last year with the Falcons, or he might still be dealing with that concussion because we don't know how severe that was.
Yep.
But I know we're looking at. There's two receivers on my radar, and one of them is a guaranteed first round pick.
Ooh.
I'm just concerned because I know this year, if they're a good receiver, they will most likely perform in Kellen Moore's offense because he likes his receivers. Because Smitty has come out and said that he's really excited for the plays this year. Although it probably is better than a high school offense. Shout out to Brian Johnson for that screen pass. But I think there's two guys I'm looking at in the first round if he's available is Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, and the second guy he might go because we do have 2 second-round picks. And he could be a second or third, because I don't think he comes up to the first. I don't think he has that much of a name. But Ladd McConkey from Georgia, because he at the wherever they're at now, the Senior Bowl, he has performed, and even before the Senior Bowl, he was highly projected to the Eagles. One, because he is a Georgia wide receiver, and how we like our Georgia guys, but
you like your Bulldogs.
He has burned a lot of the good corners in this draft class at the college College Bowl or the Senior Bowl. Sorry,
You
he
know,
has played great, and he did great at Georgia this year as well.
so the Eagles. So they're saying that the Eagles could possibly get Brian Thomas, wide receiver out of LSU. Have you heard of that? You know, do you think You think you guys will get Romeo
No.
Doomsday?
If he's available at that pick, I'm taking him. But unless he drastically falls, I think he could be a top 10 pick.
These are the receivers that they might draft: Brian Thomas out of LSU, Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo.
He's a corner.
Oh, my bad, corner. That's someone they're saying you guys might get, as well as Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama. He's also corner.
Kool-Aid is definitely a guy I want, just because before this year he was highly, highly projected in this draft class. Now he's kind of falling. He was outplayed this year at Alabama by Terrion Arnold, who's projected 15th but around around this time last year he didn't have a name. He was a third, fourth round guy.
But you guys definitely need to get younger at the position because Bradbury and Slay are both over 30. So
yeah, Karka, if you do a show anytime soon, I definitely want to tell you who I am looking at because it's a very long list.
Uh-huh.
But like,
I have a serious question for you.
Yes.
You keep mentioning all these young kids that you could draft, but it's kind of been proven by the Eagles lately, and it's a Niner thing, and it's a bunch of different teams thing. They like having a veteran. They like having a proven commodity and not just taking swings at young guys.
Yeah, yes, but notice
our system. I think you're far more likely to go after like a Mike Evans or God help me, a Juwan Jennings or some kind of proven commodity to bring in to have that tall fighter that will go up for contested catches, that can stretch the field and do different things. And so I don't think strictly the Eagles will be going after everything, especially in the early rounds, because like I said, you're losing Jason Kelce. You got to replenish.
We're not losing. Kelce's coming back, he said.
Let me tell you something. Even if they lose Kelce, they're going to put Jurgens at center. I think they have his replacement.
Or Carcass, another guy that I believe he might be Oregon, but that Oregon center, he has been definitely on the Eagles' radar a ton.
So, Spongy, would you take a swing at Mike Evans?
I would take a swing at Mike Evans. The only problem is with what your point is. Definitely, that's the reason I don't have us taking a corner. I definitely want to take a corner in the first round because those guys are going to be really, really good, especially if they're available at our pick. But it's proven with
corners usually go like mid-teens and then they go like back to back.
But it's proven with Howie that he doesn't draft corners in the first round.
Hey, Spongy.
Okay, I'll be perfectly fine with. Yes.
To Spongy, read Brian's comment. It's been up there for a while.
Let me tell you something. You know who I think would be a really, really good pickup for the Eagles? I just don't know if the Bills are going to get rid of him. I think Gabe Davis on third down.
No, they definitely are going to get rid of him.
I'd rather have Juwan Jennings.
You don't want Gabe Davis? Okay.
What up, Jason?
Actually, no. Jason. I get why. Actually.
I think the only reason we want to go after a younger guy is because, although I wouldn't mind picking up a guy like Juwan Jennings, I wouldn't, or a guy like Mike Evans. But the only problem with Mike Evans is what we'll have to give up.
You got to find a way to get him and AJ Brown the ball.
Free agent, Spongy.
And that too. Mike Evans is not a free agent. All right. Wait. Yeah. What he might, but he might go back. But I realize that. But another problem is how much money we have. Another problem is what's the comment now? He is. No, I can't deny that. He definitely is. But he has come out and said he's retired. But he said it directly right after the Bucks game. But
what he said was he wasn't ready to make a
He wasn't
final
ready to make the
announcement
decision.
yet, and
so
he,
he
like many players, Spongy, got really pissed off that the power was taken out of his hands, and Adam Schefter came out right after the game, like literally minutes out of the game, and tweeted everywhere that Jason
Holy
Kelsey had told everyone he was retiring. These players hold a grudge against Schefter the way they should,
yes.
and so maybe he's not official,
It's,
Spongy,
yeah.
but it's not that it's impossible.
It's not impossible, definitely. And I would love him to go retire. You know, Eagles fan aside, you know, he has a family. He has his health issues. He has these young kids that he's going to have to play with. And the only problem is you know, what he
Oh my god.
has been going through. But I think, you know, I think he wants to run it back. He was definitely mad after that game, after the Bucks game. Maybe
Damn.
if we would have been eliminated in the second round, maybe that would be a different story. But, you know,
Funny boy.
I definitely think. Oh, what's the comment now? If I swung at Evans, I would. Okay. No, but like, I want. You know, with Kelsey, I don't think, because the last two wins that Kelsey. What's the comment now? Great pool.
That's crazy. Michael Pittman Jr. is gonna be a free agent.
Yeah, and that could be another guy. But how are we gonna get all three of those, Smitty, Brown, and Pittman, the ball?
What do you mean? How?
And with the money that we have left, we don't have much because we have to pay. We don't have to pay Kelsey this year because of how his contract is from last year.
Oh, it's not even those guys. You got to get Goddard the ball too. You know, you guys got Goddard too.
Run the ball with DeAndre Swift if he comes back.
So, Spongy, do you see yourself taking a swing at one of these bigger free agents, like a T. Higgins or a Tyler Boyd?
The only problem, and I was gonna say this. The only problem is you guys aren't necessarily Eagles fans, okay? But you guys are NFL fans, and you guys know when it gets to the point where you have a bunch of star players on your team, you have to pay a lot of money for those said star players.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have guys on our team that are worth a ton of money. You know, Bradbury is overpaid. Yeah, I could even say Kevin Byard and Darius Slay are overpaid. Also because they're getting older. With Byard, I get he didn't play well last year, and I understand he's still a good safety. But my only problem is if we release him, we'll get money. If we release Bradbury, we lose. We still have to pay him $25 million, which is a massive problem. And that is one reason I do not see Bradbury getting off this team this year and going at a big free agent. That is the only problem with going at a guy like Mike Evans, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, because they'll want a lot of money. We don't have that money.
I told you the food's done.
Busy.
Let's go.
Sorry about that. Look, Spudgy, I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying your organization has been through hell and back, where you literally have fans standing in the cold and snow begging you to run the ball. Like,
Philly Wi-Fi.
there's no way you guys just go all bunch of young, unproven guys. Like, especially the way you guys all said, well, we don't need Hassan Reddick. We don't need Javon Hargrave. We can do whatever we want because we got a bunch of Georgia Bulldogs coming in. And you guys had so much issues with run D and everything else this year. Like, there's no way you all run it back with a bunch of young, inexpensive rookies.
Although one thing I gotta say about last year, I don't think we were necessarily ready for Gannon and Steichen to be gone. We were not. You know, that's the only time I bring up Gannon's name in a positive way. Carcast.
You know you miss him. Just admit it.
I don't miss him. And
Nah,
you
you
can
don't
ask
miss
other
him.
Eagles fans. I don't miss.
Your defense
miss him.
carried you. Your offense didn't do jack
Yes,
shit last season.
We understand that.
Okay,
but
just
you
say you
also
miss
gotta-
him. God damn.
I don't miss
You know,
him.
you know what I think it is? I think Spongey's a little pissed off that he lost again in the Cardinals.
No, I'm not.
Giants to end the year, especially when that was supposed to be the cupcake of their season.
But
Giants
you know
Cardinals.
what I gotta say about last year with all the rookies that came in, I think those guys are definitely gonna be better. We had a guy we drafted last year by the name. It was in the first round too. It was our second pick at the end of the first round. Nolan Smith,
Like he's doing shit.
who was supposed to be a linebacker. We moved him. I believe we moved him to right end. I don't know, but he is supposed to.
Hey,
him and-
Spongy, my dog Tootsie says the talk is getting crazy.
But him and Reddick are supposed to be better in Fangio's defense this year. It's not a definite, but you also got to look at who the coordinators were for this team last year. Sean Desai, he is not it.
Sean
He is
Desai.
he is not a good defensive coordinator, and he didn't motivate the guys. Especially, that would be the problem with the rookies and having a guy like that as their DC for like 10 weeks or something like that.
Hey, let me
You
ask
know?
you something. You think Jeremiah Trotter Jr. could be the bookend along to Hassan Reddick?
Yes. I've been very high on him. And yes, the name is incorporated into that, but he's also hard-hitting linebacker, which we need. He should be available in the second round with either our first or second pick because there's at least 2 linebackers above him.
You.
It's not a definite. He's an Eagle, but I think if we have to trade up in the second round, that we'll trade up because we do have 2 picks in the second round. Yeah, I've been bringing his name up for the longest time. But I also got it with the defensive coordinators last year. Sean Desai, you have 10. The rookies have about 10 weeks and preseason and OTAs with him. They were used to him, but he didn't give them motivation to go out there and play, and do well. Jalen Carter, he fell off towards the end. Maybe he was only good, maybe he was extra good with Sean Desai. I don't know. I think Desai was a decent coordinator, but it's just like the Vic Fangio with the Dolphins. The players didn't like him.
Y'all
And
know
that's the
you.
thing with
Y'all know you miss Hargrave, right?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But you also got to look at this. And then you bring in a guy like Matt Patricia, who sits there on the sideline with a pencil stuck in his ear.
Spongy, I love hearing you hate on your team. I find genuine pleasure in that. But here's the thing.
Damn, that's me.
And you've never really broached this topic, but do you ever think it's just your young core that hasn't lived up to their name? Because
No,
you're kind of like the Packers, where you get like so in love with these Georgia Bulldogs, and they don't stay healthy. They have hot flashes, then they have off flashes, and their off flashes outweigh their hot flashes, and they just don't seem to gel with not only the NFL in general, but their teammates. And so
Yeah.
you're getting rid of the veterans that are proven because you don't pay them, and you're stuck with
Yes.
these older
John.
veterans that are kind of on their last leg, and then you have a bunch of
Carcass,
young guys that are
go to
slowly
the private chat
Yes, and I
if you want to talk, Carcass.
and I definitely I see where you're coming from, and some of the guys, yes, you're not getting them to be great immediately. You know,
Oh.
Hassan Reddick, he wasn't good immediately for the Cardinals. You know, these guys, they're not going to be good right away, and the guys who are good right away, it's just an extra boost. But I like some of the play. I mean, even if they didn't play well this year, like I understand. With Jordan Davis, I know you're hinting at the Georgia Bulldogs, like Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. Yeah, like those guys. And we also have like Nolan Smith from Georgia, Keely Ringo, the corner. Those guys. But I want to finish this question and let Carcass talk a little bit. But you see those guys. The rookies played well this year. Some of them had stints where they were good and where they were bad. Jalen Carter had a tough end of the year. But the rest of his play, he's still up there for Defensive Rookie of the Year. So he must have been good enough in the first half to outset the end where he was a little worse. And he had his, times this year where he tried to pick off a spike. He's a very creative player. And I think the narrative against him with his, legal history, that's one reason we picked up a bunch of Bulldogs players. So we can.
What the?
All right, Smudgy, that was me giving you a 10-second talk. Well,
Can I say something? Real quick.
Quickly, you got 10 seconds to talk.
10 seconds?
10 seconds, because I got to end the show here shortly. I got to go get my little one. Go quickly.
Okay. See, so just to wrap it up, I don't think the Eagles are a bad team overall. I think they're like with all these young guys, Spongy. I don't know why you keep bringing up the Super Bowl, this and that. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like, no, like I don't know about that, but I think the thing is you guys gotta run the ball, stay balanced as an offense, because you guys definitely have the weapons. Jalen just gotta spread the ball around.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be a good team. Just like you said, you guys do have some draft needs, and definitely tape up that defense a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. I hate the Eagles obviously as a team, but I think they definitely do have the talent that will lead them to success in the future. So, I think we'll see how you guys do in the draft. Let's just keep it at that for sure.
All right. Let me ask you, Spongy, what is your plans for this weekend?
Shoot.
Since it's Pro Bowl weekend, Snorefest.
Oh, the Pro Bowl.
I mean, I don't really. Maybe I'll post a video or two, but
Okay.
I'll be on shows. I'll try and do a few draft videos if I can, but it's just because I'm also doing something else with this other app where you sell sports cards as like a live stream. So I've been trying to do that as well as YouTube. I have to struggle with them a little bit.
All right. What about you, Carcast? What's your plans for this coming up weekend?
Well, we got the Friday night show today.
Oh yeah.
Friday night Corey Davis Delight. I think that's what they call it. I think it's on I think it's on Beto's channel. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows.
Yes, it is on Beto's. I would have been able to look it up if my phone didn't power down.
If he sends me the link, I'll hop on it. If not, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
Those are always fun. So looking forward to that.
And what about you, Melissa?
Right, Spongy?
What
Looking forward to it.
What is your
Yeah.
plans for this week?
Cough, cough.
I will try to go on tonight's show if I'm asked on. If not, I guess I'll be back on with everybody on Wednesday for the Corey Davis pick show. And
Yep.
I apologize for that, but
You're good.
Don't worry about it.
You're good.
they're kind of all loudmouth because Dan Quinn and all the other stuff, and they're all anti me right now because I'm in the Super Bowl and they're not. Especially
Right?
Shout out to the Eagles.
Well,
Ow.
he's a cheesehead, Spongy. He's not an Eagle fan, and the other one's
No, but
Giant.
still shout out to the Eagles.
Yeah, there are more Packers fans than Eagles fans in this world. Get that straight.
Okay,
Well,
guys.
whatever.
Hey, Spongy. Listen up.
That's fun.
First show is going to be on Beto for 2 hours, and then David McNiners around 9:00.
Oh, it's 2 shows today? I thought they usually did 1. All right.
2 for 4 hours
Damn.
total.
Well, wasn't that the way it used to be? It used to be like a
Yes.
variety show, and then it used to be the after show, and the after show
They stopped
usually was
doing that
on
because a lot of people
either
just
on McNiners or Bryant's channel, and then it was
Yep.
usually after the original show.
they stopped doing
Yep.
that because people get tired. It's a lot.
And
I-
for me, I'm just gonna kick back, wait until Tuesday. I got another show at 5:00. You guys are welcome to come in
I'll
on
join.
Tuesday at 5 p.m. I'll drop everybody the link.
I think we're
So
all gonna
basic-
be, I think we're all gonna be exhausted by then with Radio Row and how much they talk about, a certain quarterback being the new GOAT and how they always forget Montana ever existed and how Mahomes could easily beat Brady for GOAT already. So
Yep.
I
I
do
let me
not
go.
look forward to Radio Row.
Yeah. So next week is going to be a little bit more different for my side because I'm planning of doing a little bit more next week. But this week is just Pro Bowl. It's boring. I don't care who wins in the Pro Bowl. I don't care. So let me go ahead and play my intro. Then
All right.
I'll talk to everybody in the back room in a little bit.
This is a good quarterback.
Oh,